JustinFREAKIN, the formidable voice in the culture. Hey Justin, are you trolling?
Come on, man.
This is the Troll Patrol, live with JustinFREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. I leave you guys for one day and a coup breaks out in Russia. Jesus. It's a freaking Sunday. Welcome. Good evening. Good evening. I'm not high enough for this shit, but I'm enjoying this song. DJ Dub. Welcome. We got so much shit to get to. I told my buddy, I was like, I'm going to try to make it a short show tonight. It is not going to be a short show. He's like, yeah, every time you say that, you end up going over 4 hours. I'm like, yeah. A lot of shit to talk about. I'm going to try to get in and out of here, because I got more Final Fantasy to play. I got more work to do because I've been playing Final Fantasy and not doing my work. And that ain't good. If I don't do my work, I ain't gonna have a place to sit and play the Final Fantasy. I'm not gonna have the electricity on to sit and play the Final Fantasy. I had barely touched my dabs when I last left you guys. Final Fantasy came out. I smoked all my dabs. I've smoked all my dabs. I'm hitting the bowl here. Good evening. Remember, was it Wednesday night? Last night I was here. I told you about the CEO of Ocean Gate. Sorry, hold on. I told you about the CEO of Ocean Gate. And now he said he didn't hire crusty old white guys or some shit like that. He liked inspiring young people. Well, the right-wing media has taken that and ran with it and has tried to claim that diversity hires are the reason the sub sank. Just want to verify with you guys. I had to point this out to a dumb fuck just a few minutes ago. The CEO, Stockton Rush, was the man that designed the submersible vehicle. So diversity hires couldn't have had anything to do with it, since a rich old white guy was the person who designed it and decided to skip the safety measures. I swear, right-wingers, there's this word for them. They dumb. They stupid. They slow. They're morons. That's it. Right-wingers are morons. I'm just rambling at this point. You guys probably want to know what that news be doing. We got all kinds of news to talk about. Did I tell you that there was almost a coup in Russia? Wagner forces turned on President Vladimir Putin. They were marching to Moscow. There has been a worst coup ever indeed in the comic book. Oh shit! Oh sorry! Oh my god!
We'll see who counts.
I might have just ended the stream. I had to turn all of them.
We're stupid. We're fools.
I had to turn all of them on to get rid of the. I had to turn all of them on to get rid of the echo, and I forgot to turn all of them back off when I did that. It wasn't the internet. No, Warlord, you can't blame my internet anymore. I am on fiber optic. I am rocking. I've not had an internet issue since. Are we back now? Are we back, guys? Simp, Starlight, Libertad, Warlord. So glad to see you guys tonight. Sorry, I'm still working out kinks. Maybe we're back. Maybe I was watching the. There's a Soxy boy. He's gonna go over here and get indecent for you guys. As you can see, there's a box over there. Smokey got a new box yesterday. Very excited to do it again. Now there will be no echo. You shouldn't have had to mute the audio. That was all on my end. That was my doing. I fucked everything up. Fair enough, Simp. Fair enough. I have too many kinks to ever work out. Here's your meme of the day. No one billionaires, billion no airing. This is probably gonna be the last night we ever talk about this stupid sub, unless there's something else that makes it even funnier that comes out. I got some video of a YouTuber who took a tour of the sub and was going to be on the sub, as I understand. It was going to be on the Voyage, or maybe I'm mixing that up. We have comments from another person who was going to be on the Voyage that ended up imploding. We're going to talk about how it imploded, and we're going to make fun of that stupid ass CEO again. Because it's too much fun. I've really enjoyed it. We're going to hear from Obama tonight. We're going to hear from Zelensky and Putin about the failed putsch in Russia. We're going to get an update on what went on over there. Obama gave an interview, I think, with CNN. I think this might have been before the attempted coup, so Obama is speaking about Ukraine, but I don't believe it relates to the events of the last, 72 hours? 48 hours? Narendra Modi. I covered this before we left on Wednesday. Modi was in the U.S. for a state dinner at the White House. It gave a solo press conference without Biden in the White House. And took some hard questions about human rights. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about why progressives boycotted his speech to Congress. We're going to look back at what life is like in the U.S. a year after Roe v. Wade fell. So it was a year ago yesterday that the Supreme Court struck down Roe v. Wade. Jimmy Carter is innocent, guys. In case anyone was worried, I have video I'm going to play for you. It's going to prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, Jimmy Carter is innocent, I assure you. Alex Jones has a hilarious conspiracy theory about Donald Trump. I'm a little worried about playing it. It might get me taken down off of YouTube. But hey, it's what I do, right? Chris Christie was booed at a speech. That should happen. Everyone should boo Chris Christie when they see Chris Christie. However, he was booed for criticizing Trump, so he's probably right in what he was saying. Now, if you have any right-wing friends, you might have noticed them over the last few days talking about so-called whistleblowers. We've heard a lot about whistleblowers. Even over the last couple of weeks, there's been numerous whistleblowers come forward from the FBI. This time it's from the IRS. Supposed whistleblowers coming forward from the IRS to say that they were stopped from investigating Hunter Biden.
Come on, man.
What did Jimmy do? You'll find out. He's innocent. But you'll find out what he did here in a little bit. Also, I have been playing Final Fantasy 16, and I probably need to empty the litter boxes. It smells in here. I need to empty the litter boxes. I need to clean up my kitchen and do dishes. I haven't done much of anything else for the last 3 days. An Uber driver was shot by a passenger. The passenger was in San Antonio, Texas. The Uber driver was taking her around San Antonio, Texas. Apparently she was visiting. She saw signs for Juarez, Mexico, and thought that she was being kidnapped. Shot and killed an Uber driver because she's a fucking idiot. And I bet I could guess her political persuasion. A worker in, I think this also happened in San Antonio, to be honest with you. Shit. I did not mean for these two stories to be back to back. But I think it also happened in San Antonio, and this one happened at the airport. Tonight's Tonight's show is about transportation. We're going to talk a lot about transportation. Never going to mention Pete Buttigieg, though, the transportation secretary, but we're going to talk a lot about transportation. Planes, trains, and automobiles. A woman was sucked into the jet engine of a plane at the San Antonio airport. There's your plane story. A train is in the Yellowstone River after a train trestle collapsed, and a car is in a sinkhole in Colorado. And when I say sinkhole, I mean fucking like, hole is probably not a strong enough word to describe it. And as a bonus, since we're on transportation, we're going to talk about a storm hitting a cruise ship, wild video that passengers took. But hey, this is probably a bad week to be out at sea. We're going to cover the updates on everything that happened with the Titan submersible vehicle. Billionaires billion no airing. A Nazi group in Georgia outside of a synagogue. People in the community are upset because the cops failed to respond, said it was their First Amendment right. I'm in a political group. It's like talk political banter for anyone or something. Like, they don't ban you, right? So it gets awful. I'm calling a lot of people dumb fucks in the group. It gets very blue in there. That group posts nonstop about how much of a danger the LGBT community is, how much of a danger drag queens is. I showed them literal Nazis, and they all went, well, that's their First Amendment right. I was like, well, you never talk about the First Amendment rights of drag queens. You notice that? I show you literal Nazis, and you're not telling me they're a problem. You're not telling me we need to keep them away from kids. Fucking idiots. The Nazi group in New Hampshire disrupted a drag queen story hour. We're going to talk about 50 people detained in Istanbul, not Constantinople. You can't go back to Constantinople. Been a long time gone. That's not even, it's fucking not funny, because 50 of our comrades were arrested after a pride celebration in Istanbul, which used to be a fucking very progressive city. Turkey used to be a very progressive country. Also, update on the elections in Greece. Apparently the conservatives coming out ahead in Greek elections. I do not like the rise of authoritarianism in this country. It is, in the world. Greece is not in the United States. Though many people in the United States are quite greasy. A sorority got sued for allowing a trans woman in their sorority. The sorority says, take your asses somewhere else. This is a frivolous lawsuit. I usually don't stick up for sororities, but this time, they in the right. Starbucks workers are striking after Starbucks decided to cancel pride decorations. Idiot-ass right-wingers are all up in arms over some people celebrating pride, chanting that they were coming for your kids. Now, I'm going to assume that's just a joke, and you guys can't take a joke. But maybe they are coming for your kids, because apparently Gillian Anderson is quite happy to turn your kids gay. She's glad to be of service. Oh, plus we're going to talk, I think, Laura Ingraham. Laura Ingraham says men are falling in love with AI. This should be hilarious. And Bud Light has a new commercial. All that and more tonight on the Troll Patrol live. Justin, you're telling me it's actually Constantinople. No, it's Istanbul, not Constantinople. I did not know that is a cover. That is a cover of like a 1920s like jazz band song. I thought, cause like I love They Might Be Giants. Fucking love They Might Be Giants. Poor Lord, I was checking out Glastonbury. You know how much I love music. I was watching the highlights from Glastonbury as I was waiting for the 8 o'clock hour to come around. Apparently Guns N' Roses are now in the running for the worst Glastonbury performance of all time. I watched them perform Paradise City. The song from Looney Tunes. I don't even know what you're talking about anymore, Warlord. I watched Guns N' Roses do Paradise City. And I saw Guns N' Roses like 6 years ago, I think. Like 2017, 2018, somewhere around there. Axl didn't sound like that. Axl sounded alright. Like, Axl hit the notes. Axl was having voice issues at Glastonbury. So, I don't know what the fuck was up. The Animaniacs. Oh, that's where you know the song from the Animaniacs. Okay. No, it's Tiny Toons. Tiny Toons. It was Tiny Toons did a like a Toon TV or something. It was like MTV, and they would do music videos for songs. And I think they do both Particle Man and Istanbul in the Tiny Toons. Yeah, you got your animated miscreants mixed up. You mixed up your miscreants. So now, I've got a little issue with the marijuana. I'm gonna run out in a couple days. I've got enough money to go buy myself another half. But if I wait until Friday, I can get a whole ounce, a couple things of concentrate. I can get all kinds of shit if I wait until Friday. But I am not going to make it until Friday. This is the kind of dilemma that Justin has. Simp, I don't know what to do. Clinically, if you're in here, you can give me good advice. What do I do? I can try to make it until Friday, but like that ain't gonna happen. Especially I've got Final Fantasy 16. I'm gonna make. Do I just stop playing Final Fantasy 16 for a couple days? I'm gonna pack another bong. I'm gonna pack another bowl right now. I am not in any position to be packing a bong, though I did smoke one earlier. Oh goddamn! Oh, you guys want to know about the news, don't you? You don't want to hear me talk about my pot troubles. You come for the news. It's 20 minutes in. I ain't even done the first story. I'm a shitty news anchor. Goddamn. Let's see where things stand in Moscow as of like a couple of hours ago. This was reporting on MSNBC. I would love to find some acid. Bring me some acid, Libertad. I would love to find some acid. Let's do it.
NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons just arrived there a little while ago and is joining us now. Keir, you're the first of us on the ground there. Give us a sense of what's happening in Moscow right now?
Well, it's life as normal, Desmond. As you can see behind me, on one of the main thoroughfares through Moscow, which is pretty stunning when you think about it, just in and of itself, because I really thought, 24 hours ago, that I might be standing here watching or certainly talking about Russians fighting Russians on these streets. Listen, I think as you mentioned, I've been here a short while, so, inevitably, there's a limited amount of time to just take in, what people are thinking, what people are saying, and there will be a million conversations.
Fuzzy face.
And across this country, and just to remember that this is a country of 11 time zones. So when you try and encapsulate how people feel, that's a challenge.
Indeed.
One Russian that we've heard from.
But now, sir, most of the people live in the western part of the fucking country. Ain't a lot of people out there in the east over there towards like Mongolia and shit. Just saying.
Today, just describing it as incomprehensible, I think is not a bad summation. Certainly an immigration officer I spoke to as I headed through the airport today simply said to me, as an aside, we've got a bit of a problem with a rebel army. So there are clearly many Russians.
Of course, you're playing in cow shit.
Today and kind of saying, wow, what do you make of that? And I think that
makes perfect sense.
To describe it. We are hearing some narratives, if you like, particularly from Russian media.
Yeah, Siberian shit.
For example, that this, the fact that this didn't happen was a kind of a grown-up moment for Russia, if you like. But there are so many questions, and many of the questions at this point, at this day, right now, this Sunday, this evening, we can't answer.
Kira, as you made your way to where you are now, was there any feeling that there
resonate
on the streets? Did you see any tanks on the streets? Because we knew at one point, watching images of Prigozhin making his way towards Moscow, there were tanks there. So there's no indication of tanks.
Good evening, darling.
Looking at Russian television, right? When you're looking at the newspapers, if you've had a time.
Have they even told you guys what's going on? All right, so the head of the Wagner forces, Warlord, can you give me a phonetical pronunciation? Pogsgarin? I'm butchering it, I'm sure. He was the head of the Wagner forces. So, Putin brought in Lukashenko from... Oh, DJ Dub. Oh, thank you. Oh, you guys rock. Oh, are you throwing me pop money? Prigozhin. I'm still fucking it up. Prigozhin. So he was the head of the Wagner forces, apparently a convicted criminal. They put in charge of this paramilitary force that was not under the command of the Russian defense minister. Zinyan. Prigozhin. We might hear somebody say it here in one of the pieces that we're watching. But it's amazing to me. We watched 2 minutes and 15 seconds of MSNBC, and they didn't tell you fucking anything, did they? I'm still fucking it up. I'm sorry, simp. I'm so sorry. But this dude was the head of the Wagner forces. They brought in Lukashenko, fucking his name up too, the president of Belarus, to negotiate with the Wagner forces. Because Putin didn't want to be seen negotiating with a criminal himself. This was to get him to stop the march to Moscow. They told him they would not prosecute him. They would give him safe passage to Belarus, and that any of the members of the Wagner force that did not participate would be granted amnesty. So that catches you up to what actually happened with Russia and the attempted coup, since MSNBC has done a fucking horrible job of actually explaining what is going on. Did I leave anything out, simp? Warlord.
To do that. What are they saying? What are the headlines right now in Moscow?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there weren't ever any tanks on the streets here in Moscow. They
were about 150 miles away.
Forces moving down the M4 highway towards Moscow. So, frankly, just absolutely stunning scenes. I think another. But just to answer your question, what has been around today are some National Guard on the streets, but nothing like what you might have expected just a short time ago this weekend.
Yes, the Pogs. Goddamn, the dude that's the Wagner. I've been apparently saying Wagner wrong. Wagner, the head of the Wagner forces, has been at odds with the actual defense minister, and that was his demand. He was going to march on Moscow, not to oust Putin, but his demand was to oust the Minister of Defense. So, interesting situation we got going on here.
Just the normality is what's surprising, honestly. And then I think also it's important to, kind of mention those scenes in Rostov. That's that city 800 miles from here, where Wagner, effectively took over the Russian Southern Command for a while, running the Russian operation in Ukraine. And as Wagner left, and as Prigozhin, its leader, left, apparently
Prigozhin.
The crowds were cheering and taking selfies and recording videos, and we've got those images. We can see that, and the Kremlin can see that too. And I think they will be looking at that and making an assessment about what that means. President Putin, through the entire 2 decades of his leadership, has always been laser focused on what the Russian people think. Imagine what he'll be thinking looking at those pictures.
So the last time we heard from President Putin was Saturday morning, in which he called essentially the people that were part of the Wagner mercenary group.
Yeah, I feel like you guys, being the nerds that you are, would want to hear that, wouldn't you? You wouldn't want to hear MSNBC's reporting on it. You'd like to hear it straight from the shirtless horse rider's mouth.
Обращаюсь к гражданам России, к личному составу.
I'm sorry, the captions are in a weird spot for you guys, so I'm gonna have to do the voice as we go along. My apologies.
Обращаюсь.
I'm addressing the citizens of Russia, to the personnel of the armed forces,
Вооруженных сил, правоохранительных
law enforcement agencies, and special services,
бойцам
to the soldiers and commanders who are now fighting on their combat positions,
позициях отбивают атаки.
repelling enemy attacks and doing so heroically.
Делают это.
I know I spoke with commanders again tonight.
Сегодня еще раз ночью говорил с командующими всех направлений.
I am also addressing those who have been led through deception or threats.
В преступную авантюру.
Why does he have his shirt on? Into this criminal misadventure, and who have been forced onto the path of this gravest of crimes, an armed mutiny. Today, Russia is fighting an extremely tough battle for its future and is repelling the aggression of the neo-Nazis and their masters. In fact, the entire military, economic, and information machine of the West is directed against us. We are fighting for the life and security of our people,
За наш суверенитет.
for our sovereignty and independence,
За право
for the right to be and remain Russia, a state with a 1,000-year history.
истории. Эта битва
This is a battle where the fate of our people is being decided. That requires the unity of all forces,
единства, консолидации.
consolidation, and responsibility. When everything that weakens us, any kind of discord,
Ослабляет нас. Любые
which our external enemies can use and are using
пользуются нашей
to
внешней.
undermine us from the inside, must be put aside.
И потому
And so actions that split our unity are, in essence, an apostasy from our people,
от боевых
from
товарищей.
our comrades in arms who are fighting on the front line right now.
Удар в
It is a
спину.
stab in the back of our country and our people.
Именно
This is exactly the kind of blow that struck Russia in 1917,
году, когда страна вела Первую мировую
when the
войну.
country fought World War I.
Ее украли.
But the victory was stolen from her. Intrigues, squabbles, and politicking behind the backs of the army
Обернулись
and the people resulted in the greatest upheaval, the destruction of the army and the collapse of the state, and the loss of vast territories.
территории. В итоге
In the end, it resulted in the tragedy of a civil war.
русские убивали,
Russians killed Russians, brothers their brothers,
а корыстную
and
выгоду
mercenary gains were made by all kinds of political adventurers
авантюристы, да зарубежные
and foreign forces who divided the country and tore it into pieces.
Мы не дадим,
We will not let this happen again. We will protect both our people and our statehood from any threats,
в том числе
including internal betrayal.
предательство. А то
And what we are facing is precisely betrayal.
непомерные амбиции
Excessive ambitions and vested interests have led to treason.
к измене
Betrayal of the country, its people, and the cause for which the soldiers and commanders
за которое бок о бок с другими нашими
of the Wagner Group had fought and died side by side with our other units.
командиры группы Вагнер. Герои, которые
Those heroes who liberated Soledar, the towns and villages of the Donbass region,
сражались
fought and gave their lives for Novorossiya, for the unity of the Russian world.
их имя и
Their
слава
name and glory have also been betrayed by those who are trying to organize a rebellion,
толкает
pushing the country toward anarchy and fratricide,
к поражению
to defeat ultimately and capitulation.
капитуляции. Повторю,
I
любая
repeat, any internal turmoil.
смертельная угроза для
Sorry. Let me get myself. I like the way he said capitulation.
к поражению в конечном итоге и к капитуляции.
Capituloti.
Повторю,
I
любая
repeat, any internal turmoil is a mortal threat to our statehood, to us as a nation.
для нас, как нации,
This is a blow to Russia, to our people.
по нашему народу. И наши
The
действия
actions we will take to protect our homeland from such a threat will be harsh.
жесткие. Все, кто сознательно встал
I would assume that means the Pogazin. I am so fucking his name up. I wouldn't expect that he's going to be alive in a couple months. They're going to let things die down a little bit, and then we'll cover it on this show in a few months. Like, oh, remember that dude? He dead now. But it'll go under the radar everywhere else. Putin will give it a couple months. He's in Belarus. Putin will gone.
на путь предательства, кто
All those who I forgot I had to do this. I'm sorry. All those who consciously chose the path of betrayal,
кто готов
who prepared an armed mutiny, who chose the path of blackmail will suffer the inevitable punishment,
понесут
will answer both before the law and our people.
ответят
The armed forces and other government agencies have received the necessary orders,
вооруженные силы и другие государственные органы. Получили
and additional anti-terrorist measures are now being introduced in Moscow.
меры антитеррористического характера вводятся сейчас
That means a
в
crackdown.
Московской области.
The Moscow region and a number of other regions.
Будут также
Decisive action will also be taken to stabilize the situation in Rostov-on-Don.
она остается
It
сложной.
remains difficult. The work of the civilian
Органов гражданского
and military administration bodies is effectively blocked.
как президент,
As President of Russia and Commander-in-Chief, as a citizen of Russia,
гражданин России, сделаю все,
I
чтобы
will do everything to defend the country, to
защитить
protect the constitutional order, the lives, security, and freedom of its citizens.
свободу граждан.
Freedom?
Тот, кто организовал,
Those who organized and prepared the military uprising,
кто
who
поднял
took up arms against their comrades in arms, betrayed Russia, and will answer for it.
и ответят за это. А тех,
I call on those who are being dragged into this crime
преступления призываю не совершать
not to make the fatal and tragic, immutable mistake, to make the only right choice, to stop participating in criminal actions.
Верю,
I believe that we will save and defend what is dear and sacred to us.
дорого и свято для нас. И вместе с
And
нами
together with our motherland, we will overcome
любые испытания.
any other trials we may face and will become even stronger. So that was President Vladimir Putin following the... I don't think they had negotiated the settlement yet when he gave that statement. That was the last statement that he gave before leaving for his residence. We do believe. We don't know exactly for sure. Now we're going to hear from, hopefully, Vladimir Zelensky will be speaking English, and I won't have to do the translation.
Бажаю здоров'я, шановні українці. Бажаю здоров'я всі люди світу. Сьогодні день, коли точно не має бути тиші і точно потрібне лідерство. Сьогодні світ побачив.
Well, sorry. He's speaking Ukrainian? Is that what they speak? What do they speak in Ukraine? I don't even know. Today the world saw that the masters of Russia do not control anything.
Що господарі Росії нічого не контролюють. Взагалі.
Nothing at all. Complete chaos.
Повний хаос. Повна відсутність.
Complete absence of any predictability.
І це
And it is happening on Russian territory, which is fully loaded with weapons. What will we, Ukrainians, do? We will defend our country, we will defend our freedom. We will not be silent and we will not be inactive. We know how to win and it will happen. Our victory in this war will definitely be. And what will Russia do? The longer your troops stay on Ukrainian land, the more devastation they will bring to Russia. The longer this person is in the Kremlin, the more disasters there will be. So that was Zelensky's response to the failed putsch in Russia. Again, the head of the Wagner forces has fled to Belarus or has been exiled to Belarus. The Kremlin has promised not to prosecute Pogsner. I'm still fucking his name up, I'm sorry. Head of the Wagner forces. But I assume he gonna get poisoned. That's usually the Kremlin MO. He'll probably be poisoned. 2 months, 3 months. You guys want to take bets on it? Let's get a poll going in the chat. What do you guys think? How long is it going to take for the head of the Wagner forces to turn up dead from a poisoning? Obama gave I guess it was a pretty big interview with CNN. I saw clips of it everywhere. He spoke on the situation in Ukraine, but I do not believe that the failed coup had happened yet.
President Biden is running for re-election. Yes. Everybody's talking about his age.
So we're going to talk about elections here in a second.
Even there's some challenges within the Democrats. Maybe somebody might start to try to primary him, etc. But what I would like to know is,
Christine Amanpour has to know that RFK is actually in the race, right?
Come on, man.
There are polls that have him as high as 20%. So for her to act like, oh, well, maybe somebody might primary him, it's kind of weird. I'm no fan of RFK, but what the fuck? Lord Locke! Lord Locke, so glad to see you, my friend. Let me catch you up. On April the 13th, Twitch decided to put the ban hammer on me. And I've been fighting to get my Twitch channel back since. We have not been regular on the YouTube. I've been kind of hit or miss, but we're now back to regular schedule. And if YouTube is not your speed, we're also over on Kick. A lot of familiar faces over on Kick right now. So if you so choose, Kick is looking like it's doing us pretty well. But even if I do get my Twitch channel back, which is still up in the air, I can't simulcast anymore. They've changed their rules. They've also changed their rule. I can't do music streams anymore. Like, I can't come on and just play Spotify for you guys like I used to. They've changed that. They have their own, like, music licensing service now. Fucking Twitch. So if I get Twitch back, I'm probably going to do, like, Troll Patrol Twitch Tuesday or something, or Thursday, and we'll do, like, a show in the middle of the day. It's Twitch only. And then I'll play video games, and that's all that'll be on Twitch, unfortunately. But we are so glad to see you over here. I don't know what's going on. Twitch don't want to fucking do business anymore. But like my official reason for being banned was I played Extreme Violence. We played the body camera footage from the Louisville shoot, and like it feels weird. Like I had to think about it there for a second. The Louisville shooting. Like there's been like a gazillion fucking shootings since that shooting that I played the body camera footage of. Where's it at? Hold on. Just another day. And at the moment, okay, so when I got kicked from Twitch, I didn't continue to up my Restream, and that's why we're only on 2 platforms, because Restream charges for like other platforms, and I was paying for it, but I caught it on sale for like 75% off, and so I'm just kind of waiting until I hit a sale again, and I'll turn Restream back on, because it's like $18 a month, and I'm like I pay less for Dropbox than that, and Dropbox is infinitely handier. So I'll turn the Restream back on when I catch it on the sale. Then we'll be on Facebook, Twitter, DLive, Odyssey, Rumble. I don't know. But the perma ban came because they said I was skirting I was ban evading. I got banned while I was on stream. Like we got taken off stream like halfway through a stream. So I said stream like 5 times. So that's why they hit me for ban evasion. And I didn't ban it, and that's why I'm trying to fight it. It still says it's pending. I mean, I'll tell Ben Shapiro to suck my cock. It's Pride Month. It's Pride Month, so he should fucking do it. Speaking of Pride Month, we got several Pride stories at the end of the show. So I used to refer to former President Obama as, hold on, Deporty McDrone Strike. That was my name for him. So by the time we get to like 2013, 2014, every time I mention Obama, I call him Deporty McDrone Strike. So Deporty McDrone Strike was on with Christine Amanpour.
Many say that his policies and his legislatives and his wins, frankly, should speak for themselves. And yet, according to The Way to Win, it's a Democrat-leaning firm, only some 22% of Latino voters, 33% of black voters can actually identify something that they say he's done to specifically make their lives better. Right. What would you say to that, and how would you advise him to connect in a re-election?
I think Joe Biden has done an extraordinary job leading the country through some very difficult times. I do not think that there's going to be any kind of serious primary challenge to Joe Biden. I think the Democratic Party is unified. There was a lot of talk. You'll remember when he was first elected, because Bernie Sanders had run, that somehow there was this huge split between progressive Democrats and more centrist Democrats. And the truth is that partly because of how Joe is governed, those divisions have been bridged. I think what's true in American politics generally is until you get to campaigns, people aren't paying much attention. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's very true.
Difficult time because of COVID and the pandemic and lockdowns, because of inflation, primarily the result of both the war in Ukraine and rising energy prices, as well as supply chain issues. And so people have memories about eggs got more expensive and gas was more expensive. And they haven't been paying as much attention to the fact that, for example, the African-American unemployment rate is lower than it's been in
ever been.
Decades.
Ever.
Campaign will allow.
I'm sorry. I guess it is in decades. Because at one point in time, I guess we had 100% African-American employment, didn't we? Back when they were in chains.
Those arguments. And I think that, in a media environment that's so cluttered, it's very hard to break through until you get to election time. You'll recall when I ran for re-election in 2012, my poll numbers weren't that great, and we ended up winning comfortably. Part of that was just we started campaigning, and we were able to get a message out, and people said, that policy or this policy.
Good part of that was John McCain was that was Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney was a weak candidate.
I think he's done a good job, and I think that's what they're going to conclude about Joe Biden as well.
When Russia started its illegal invasion, the second invasion of Ukraine, I believe you said that democracies, it's a clarion call, it's a wake-up call, democracies are getting flabby and feckless. Where does Ukraine, in your view, stand in the fight to preserve democracy?
I think it's vital.
Taped up yet?
It's interesting. Before I left office, I gave speeches not just here in Athens, but also in Hamburg and in London. And one of the arguments I made is, do not take for granted the extraordinary achievement of the European Union and the fact that a continent that was racked by war and bloodshed for centuries was now as prosperous and as peaceful as any in history. And then now we've seen the first war on European soil in recent memory, and I think it was a wake-up call to Europe. And I think it was a wake-up call to the West and to democracies around the world that the old ways of thinking, might makes right, big countries can do what they want to small countries, that people cannot independently determine their futures, that those forces have to be confronted. Watching the Ukrainians themselves with such courage and bravery fight back, I think that reminded Europe of who they were. And I've been impressed by the degree to which, in not easy circumstances, Europe has stood up. It has provided the aid that was necessary. I think the Biden administration has very deftly managed maintaining that alliance to support Ukraine. And I believe the stakes are high to send a message to somebody like Putin that they are not going to just be able to willy-nilly determine the borders of other countries.
So obviously hindsight is a great thing, 2020 vision is a great thing, but you experienced while you were in office Putin's first invasion, the annexation of Crimea. And many people said neither you nor the Western allies stood up and put enough...
To be honest, it's refreshing to hear somebody who's such an eloquent speaker. I mean, like, Obama is highly intelligent and insanely well-spoken. And, like, that's just so refreshing to hear in the national conversation. Now, I have a lot of gripes with his policies, and I think maybe he is more of an idealist than we give him credit for because his policies were so, but, like, also the time and, like, the political will. Like, I could see that the will was not there for him to be some crazy fucking leftist, that's for sure. We've come a long way since 2008, I can assure you. But still, I've got a lot of major gripes with the way they did the bank bailout, with the drone program, clearly with deportations.
Red lines around him around that.
Yeah.
So what's your reaction to that? And I want to just add also, your good friend and colleague, Angela Merkel, is under very serious criticism right now. I know you've just met with her recently. Should she have leveraged, Germany's economy, its energy on the addiction to cheap energy in Russia? Was that a mistake?
Well, I think the Ukraine of that time is not the Ukraine that we're talking about today. There's a reason why there was not an armed invasion of Crimea, because Crimea was full of a lot of Russian speakers, and there was some sympathy to the view that Russia was representing its interests. The Rada at the time, the Ukrainian parliament itself, still had a number of Russian sympathizers, and the politics inside Ukraine were more complicated. And part of what happened was both myself, but also Merkel, who I give enormous credit for, had to pull in a lot of other Europeans kicking and screaming to impose the sanctions that we did and to prevent Putin from continuing through the Donbass into the rest of Ukraine. So I actually think that given both where Ukraine was at the time and where the European mindset was at the time, we held the line. And part of what happened was, over time, a sense of Ukrainian identity separate from Russia and a determination to push back against Russia and an ability to prepare both militarily and civically to resist Russian pressure they built up those muscles, and that's part of the reason why they were able to respond the way they did when you actually saw what was, in my view at least, incredibly misguided, not to mention illegal and incredibly cruel incursion by Russian forces.
Do you think Putin should have been challenged more then?
I think that we challenged Putin with the tools that we had at the time, given where Ukraine was at the time.
Lord Locke, I don't really get into the Obama is running things behind the scenes. I'm not there's not some cabal going on. And as I understand it, Biden and Obama don't particularly like each other. I know there's the whole thing where Obama, he did indeed organize during the 2020 primary to try to get everybody to drop out and support Biden. That's a thing, but that was just, his cachet. And it was him doing it on behalf of neoliberal interests, sure. But I don't think they're working in concert. Like, Obama is not telling Biden what to do. I don't think a third Obama term would have been as good as the Biden term. Like, Biden has probably been the best president of my lifetime, hands down, without question. The only other person in the running would be Clinton, I think. And there's an argument to be made about a lot of the things that happened under Clinton were the setup for the failures that we face later. The repeal of Glass-Steagall happened under Clinton. I am not only pro-choice, because that's what you do in a fucking free country. You let people determine their own fate. Snicks, good evening. But I am pro-abortion. Like, I am pro late term abortion. I believe that you should be able to realize that you're raising a shithead and have an abortion all the way up to the age of 18. But just there's got to be safeguards to this, right? So you got to have like 2 teachers sign off on it, and maybe a psychologist. Be like, yeah, this kid's a shithead. Like, this isn't just a religious fundamentalist parent that's bigoted against a gay kid or something. Like, no, this kid's a psychopath. We can abort him. So I think that would be best for society. Can I get an amen? I've got all kinds of policy. Ask me about policy. I got something for everything. Ask me about speed limits. Why the fuck do we have speed limits? Why don't we just have cars that can't go faster than like 70, 75? Alright, some of you are speed freaks, fucking 80, okay. Speed is a factor in 1/3 of all fatal car accidents. I just saved 1/3 of your fucking lives. Damn right, CS. You can't tell a woman what to fucking do with her body and then claim it's a free country. These fucks that want to limit access to abortion, they do. I can tell you the horror stories that led to abortion being legalized in the first place. These women went to testify in front of Congress to try to get the law changed. Seth Rollins needs the curb stomp. See, Lord Locke, if you're on Kick, you could have the curb stomp emote. Kick's got the curb stomp emote. But the women went and testified in front of Congress about all of the children they were having with these birth defects that they were watching die in their arms because abortion wasn't legal. And we've seen that. We've come full fucking circle now. That very story happened in Florida, where because of the law passed in the wake of the protections in Roe v. Wade, because of the law that Florida has passed, a woman, fucking let me pull it up. Let me get this fucking correct. The baby, they had to, yeah, she had to carry the baby to term, knowing it would die, and watch it suffer for hours. This is what abortion laws do. Joey, good evening. Because of Florida abortion laws, she carried her baby to term knowing it would die, and it's a heartbreaking fucking story. Content warning. Unable to get an abortion in her state, she had to carry the baby to term with no kidneys. Deborah Dorbert's son, Milo, died in her arms on March 3rd, shortly after he was born, just as doctors had predicted he would. He gasped for air a couple of times when I held him. I watched my child take his first breath, and I held him as he took his last one. That is why these restrictions on abortion are fucking barbaric. She said her pregnancy was proceeding normally until November, when at 24 weeks an ultrasound showed that the fetus did not have kidneys and that she had hardly any amniotic fluid. Not only was the baby sure to die, her doctors had told her, but the pregnancy put her at especially high risk for preeclampsia, a potentially deadly complication. Her doctors told her it was too late to terminate the pregnancy in Florida, which bans nearly all abortions after 15 weeks. And that is why these religious fundamentalists, these right-wing fucking nut jobs, can go fuck themselves. And I will do things that could get me banned off of YouTube if I ever had the chance. If I ever saw one face to face. Just saying. We are 1 year on from the overturning of Roe v. Wade. The 1 year anniversary was Saturday. I just so happen to have this topic queued up.
Since the Supreme Court upended nearly 50 years of precedent and eliminated the federal constitutional right to abortion. In a CBS News poll, a majority of Americans surveyed said the overturn of Roe v. Wade was mostly bad for the country. On the eve of the anniversary of the landmark ruling, President Biden rallied abortion rights advocates as he denounced abortion bans, while Republican presidential hopefuls called for a national ban on abortions after 15 weeks.
Monsters.
Christina Ruffini is at the White House.
Fucking monsters.
Good morning, Dana. This has already been a key campaign issue. We saw it in the midterms, and President Biden's...
And I understand it. Look, totally get what's going on here. It is so easy to frame it as, well, Democrats want to kill babies, and stupid fucking people fall for that nonsense. They fall for that messaging. We have way too many gullible motherfuckers around here.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Especially because of their religious upbringing. So it seems moral and just. God wouldn't want you killing a baby. There's multiple things wrong with that statement. One, is not a baby. A fetus is not a baby. Has no feelings. Has no dreams, hopes, aspirations. Has no consciousness, no memory. Yeah, there's an attachment to it. It's an emotional situation. But women don't make it willy-nilly. Yeah, you might be able to find the one odd out that shows a careless disregard for life. Some young girl that is going to having abortions willy-nilly. But it ain't happening often. The overwhelming vast majority, well over 95% of the abortions are done in cases where a mother is doing what they think is best for them, for the child, to not bring the child into whatever circumstances they're in, or it's done for late-term abortions are all done for medically necessary reasons. So bans on late-term abortion. Just and these fucking right-wing assholes that go out there like, well, Democrats are for abortion all the way up to the moment of birth and after. They describe it as infanticide. Oh, like, I'm sorry I'm on the soapbox. I'm sorry. This is... And I know it's emotional. I know, like, I understand it from, like, a person who has this notion of life and it being sacred and shit. I understand it. Mind your own goddamn business. You have no business legislating that shit for other people. Because when you do, you cause untold harm. It is totally fine to be personally against abortion and think that you could never have an abortion yourself. Fine, do it. Totally cool. You can't force that shit. God damn it.
Campaign is well aware it will be crucial in getting Democratic voters to turn out to the polls this fall.
And we will let most personal decisions fall in the hands of politicians instead of women or their doctors.
1 year after the overturn of Roe v. Wade, President Biden told a room full of abortion rights supporters the fight isn't over.
We'd fight to restore these protections of Roe v. Wade and make it the law of the land once again, and we're going to do that.
Earlier in the day, he signed an executive order aimed at strengthening access to contraception. But without the federal protections of Roe or congressional action, the protective power of the president is limited.
It is also clear that extremists in Congress plan to ban abortion nationwide.
According to a new CBS News poll, half of Americans say abortion access after Roe has been more restrictive than they expected. Of those who say the change was bad for the country, 86% think it puts women's lives at risk.
And it does.
Among those who think the change was good, 86% say it's because the lives of the unborn are being protected.
The Dobbs decision is in the Supreme Court Hall of Shame.
On the Hill, Democrats decried the decision, including California Congresswoman Barbara Lee, who's spoken openly about obtaining a then illegal abortion at age 16.
I was once pregnant and forced to risk my life.
And goddamn it, the thing that pisses me off the most is these women shouldn't have to tell their incredibly personal stories. Fucking admire your courage for being able to do so, man, but you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to. God damn it.
Criminalized because politicians thought they could make decisions about my body. I know what life was before Roe.
But on the trail, potential GOP presidential candidates celebrate the change in the law.
Every life, I was taught, is a precious gift from God.
And mark the year by making their positions clear.
And we must not rest and must not relent until we restore the sanctity of life to the center of American law in every state in this country.
Such a punchable face.
President Biden received endorsements from the nation's 3 largest pro-abortion rights groups. And later today, Vice President Harris will travel to North Carolina, where she's going to make remarks calling for national legislation to protect abortion rights. Adriana?
Christina, thank you.
Infuriating. I'm sorry. I got really emotional. Dude came in here, asked me about abortion. But it just so happened that I had that on the docket for tonight. So we were going to talk about it anyway. So talk about where we go from here. GOP-run states are eyeing abortion beyond their borders. Blue states are fighting back as Democrats pass state shield laws to protect patients and providers. Could legal clashes between states be on the horizon? The Planned Parenthood clinic in Spokane, Washington is just a 30-minute drive from the Idaho border, and since May, when Idaho's abortion trafficking law went into effect, it's been sitting on a time bomb. Like many blue state abortion clinics, the Spokane Health Center has been inundated with patients from out of state since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade a year ago in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health, allowing abortion to be banned outright or severely restricted in many states. Clinically, good evening. In Spokane, they have received patients from as far away as Texas and Florida. But the new law in Idaho, which criminalizes anyone who helps a minor travel out of state for an abortion without the permission of their parents, threatens this already unstable or unsustainable reality. It is the first effort to criminalize travel for the purposes of abortion and to make the state's ban on abortion within its borders into something more like a ban on its citizens accessing abortion anywhere. The Idaho law marks a major escalation in the post-Dobbs battle over abortion, an attempt by an anti-choice state to extend its abortion ban beyond its borders. And it puts a target on those who travel along the interstate highway to the Spokane Planned Parenthood. If the trafficking law is ultimately enforced, if an aunt or a sister drives a teenage girl across the Idaho border to have an abortion and gets caught, the prosecution and civil suits that follow will more likely than not center around a procedure that takes place at the Spokane Center. Nobody wants to be the guinea pig case, says Sarah Dixit, the public affairs manager for Planned Parenthood of Greater Washington and Northern Idaho. Nobody wants to be an example of what it looks like when a state tries to enforce one of these laws. If Idaho gets its way, the Spokane Clinic won't have a choice. Abortions for everyone. Free abortions. While we're on the subject of restrictive regimes, the president of India, Narendra Modi, was in town at the end of the week. State dinner and a speech before Congress. So let's take a look at what celebrities came for Modi's state dinner.
Shetty and Mr. Richard Slavin.
Miss Billie Jean King and Miss Logan Fox.
Billie Jean King, the tennis player.
Good question. I don't know.
Excellent addition to the dinner for Pride Month, I would assume. M. Night Shyamalan. What lovely people. Who invited Kevin McCarthy?
I think for the future, we are the oldest democracy, and India is the largest democracy. We can show the entire world how democracies work better, but more importantly, bring the world to a freer place. And I think our stronger bond, we should work to be able to expand our military foreign sales to India, technology between the two nations, continue to grow, help the economies. And I think the world itself will be in a better balance and stronger for the next generation.
Mr. Tim Cook and Ms. Lisa Jackson.
Tim Cook can go fuck himself.
Great to see you.
Mr. Mukesh Ambani and Ms. Nita.
I could never attend one of these things.
It's a historic visit.
The whole pomp and pageantry. This is the state dinner for Narendra Modi, the president of India, who was in town last week. He also held a press conference at the White House and was questioned by reporters on the subject of human rights. One of the things that he's not well known for in India.
Steps are you and your government willing to take to improve the rights of Muslims and other minorities in your country and to uphold free speech?
मुझे आश्चर्य हो रहा है कि आप कह रहे हैं कि लोग कहते हैं नहीं, भारत डेमोक्रेसी है। और जैसा राष्ट्रपति बाइडेन ने कहा, भारत और अमेरिका दोनों के डीएनए में लोकतंत्र है।
Okay, they're not giving me subtitles to be able to read it to you. I have no fucking clue what he's saying. My apologies on this one. Modi questioned by the Wall Street Journal. It was a Wall Street Journal reporter. Can we hear what?
The Prime Minister and I had a good discussion about democratic values, and there is a.
You damn right, Richard.
That's the nature of our relationship. We're straightforward with each other, and we respect each other. One of the fundamental reasons that I believe the U.S.-China relationship is not in the space it is in the U.S.-Indian relationship is that there's an overwhelming respect for each other because we're both democracies.
What steps are you and your government willing to take to improve the rights of Muslims and other minorities in your country and to uphold free speech?
There we go.
मुझे आश्चर्य हो रहा है कि आप कह रहे हैं
I'm actually really surprised that people say so and so. People don't say it. Indeed, India is a democracy. And as President Biden also mentioned, India and America, both countries, democracy is in our DNA.
दोनों के DNA में लोकतंत्र है. भारत के
In
लोकतंत्र
India's democratic values, there is absolutely no discrimination, neither on basis of caste, creed, or age. That's not true. Or any kind of geographic location. That's not true at all. For those of you unaware, the majority population is Hindu, but they have a Muslim minority, and they aren't kind to them at all. At all. They are very, very racist towards their Muslims. Progressives boycotted the speech that Modi gave to Congress on Friday, I believe it was. Might have been Thursday. A group of progressive lawmakers known as the Squad will boycott Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's speech to Congress on Thursday, while Democrats urge President Biden to bring up human rights concerns with Modi during his U.S. state visit. As Washington hopes India will become a regional counterbalance to China. Rep. Ocasio-Cortez tweeted she would boycott Modi's speech, saying a joint session address should not be extended to individuals with deeply troubling human rights records engaged in systematic human rights abuses of religious minorities and caste-oppressed communities. Representative Rashida Tlaib tweeted it was shameful that Modi has been given a platform as she criticized the Indian leader for his long history of human rights abuses, anti-democratic actions, targeting Muslims and religious minorities, and censoring journalists. Representative Ilhan Omar tweeted Modi's government has repressed religious minorities, emboldened violent Hindu nationalist groups, and targeted journalists, human rights advocates with impunity. More than 70 House and Senate Democrats led by Representative Pramila Jayapal and Senator Chris Van Hollen signed a letter to Biden urging him to press Modi on the need to protect human rights and democratic values in India. The letter points to independent reports about the shrinking of political space and the rise of religious intolerance, the targeting of civil society organizations and journalists, and growing restrictions on press freedoms and internet access in India under Modi. I believe Modi came to power in 2014, 2016. Bernie tweeted in response, Prime Minister Modi's government has cracked down on the press and civil society, jailed political opponents, and pushed an aggressive Hindu nationalism that leaves little space for India's religious minorities. President Biden should raise these facts in his meetings with Modi. Modi is on a 3-day visit to the U.S., which includes an address to the joint session of Congress and a White House state dinner. India is seen by the U.S. as a key partner in the Asia-Pacific region and an important counterbalance to China. India and China have shared a tense relationship for decades, including a border conflict in 1961 over territorial disputes. As several Western companies look to reduce their reliance on China, Modi and his government have attempted to push India as an alternative manufacturing hub in the region. So you can imagine, this week Modi's so-called Make in India efforts were reportedly endorsed by the White House, which has urged chip companies to invest more in the country. Both India and the U.S. are members of the Indo-Pacific Security Collective known as the Quad, along with Australia and Japan. Beijing views the Quad as a U.S.-led effort to contain its influence in the Indo-Pacific and has even derisively referred to the group as Asian NATO. Well, yeah. Despite the strategic alignment between the two largest democracies in the world, Biden's decision to host Modi for a state visit has come under criticism from various human rights groups. Modi is the leader of the right-wing Hindu nationalist Bharatiya Janata Party, the BJP, whose leaders have been criticized for fanning hate and violence towards India's Muslim minorities. In its World Report for 2023, Human Rights Watch said the BJP government has continued its systematic discrimination and stigmatization of religious and other minorities, particularly Muslims, adding that supporters of the party have increasingly committed violent attacks against targeted groups. Oh my God, that music was so loud in my ears. I turned it down for you guys, but it looked like it was still blaring. It is Asian NATO. I, as someone who appreciates quality and who wants jobs to stay here and provide good wages to workers, I'm for making shit in the U.S., but under capitalism, that's not possible. We saw Instant Pot. And what's their other brand? They've got two brands, and both of them are amazing. So when you buy an Instapot, you're buying something that you're going to have for 10 fucking years. Well, guess what? The company went bankrupt. Because if they can't sell you more Instapots, because you already got one and it's still good, how are they going to make money? The fundamental flaw with capitalism here. Companies aren't incentivized to sell you shit that works. Some of them even install flaws into their system or cause their systems to crash after so long. It's called planned obsolescence. If we have a strong government with strong regulations and shit and a social safety net, it's insane. Whole goddamn place has gone crazy. But just know, former president Jimmy Carter is innocent. I know there are many of you that have been thinking for a while that Jimmy Carter is a shady son of a bitch, that he'd been up to some shit. That Habitat for Humanity thing had to be a front for something, right? He was actually dealing drugs. But according to former President Donald Trump, Jimmy Carter is innocent.
Under the Presidential Records Act, which is civil, not criminal, it's done in 1977, civil,
I had every right to have these documents, personal belongings, in boxes. Joe Biden didn't. Even Mike Pence didn't have that right. They weren't covered by the Presidential Records Act. I was, because I was president, but they weren't. But these scoundrels and thugs, they only come after me. They didn't go after the many, many other presidents that kept their documents. You know about it. Many, many others. If you look at the Bush family, if you look at even Jimmy Carter, and I'd say he's innocent. I say Jimmy Carter's innocent. But they went after me. They didn't go after anybody else. And they went after me criminally. And it's not a criminal violation. It's not even a violation under the Presidential Records Act. And what could, under the...
So I hope that puts everybody's mind at ease. Jimmy Carter's innocent. Trump continues to widen his lead over everybody in the field, including his closest challenger, which I guess would be Ron DeSantis, or Meatball Ron as he's affectionately known.
Political director and moderator of Meet the Press. Chuck, good morning. It's great to see you. So the former president got a big rousing ovation. He was well received at that event last night. But you all have some new polling from NBC News you're going to roll out on Meet the Press that talks about the state of the Republican Party and what it wants in its next nominee. What did you find?
This is still Donald Trump's party. The federal criminal indictment did nothing, changed absolutely nothing in this. And in fact, from when
Republicans,
the Republican primary matchup in April to today, Donald Trump's lead is nearly doubled. He had a 15-point lead over Ron DeSantis in a multi-candidate field. In April, it is now ballooned to 29 points. He's now over the 50% mark. Now, there's a huge divide between
meatballs are delicious
voters on the seriousness of these criminal charges, on the idea of pardoning January 6th insurrectionists, on a 6-week abortion ban. I can go on and on. The point is, this is a Republican Party that's increasingly out of step with the rest of the country. And while that is good news for Donald Trump in his quest to get the nomination, he is weaker when matched up against Biden than Ron DeSantis. And yet he is stronger today against Ron DeSantis among Republicans than he's ever been.
Wow, that is fantastic. Trump weaker against Biden than DeSantis, but trouncing DeSantis in the Republican primary. Right-wingers are morons. Wasn't it Lindsey Graham who said if they nominate Trump in 2016, he'll destroy the Republican Party, and they'll deserve it. And they'll deserve it. Man, you were correct, Lindsey.
Much more this morning, Chuck, on Meet the Press. Thanks so much. Chuck will be joined by Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar, who sits on the Senate Judiciary Committee.
Oh, that's why we did not get a single clip from Meet the Press this morning. Nobody wants to hear from Amy Klobuchar or Anthony Blinken. Nobody wants to hear from Alex Jones, but I got to play this for you. I got to hit the content warning. Alex Jones has a crazy conspiracy theory. I know. Who would have ever thunk it, right?
If people don't get serious and get out of their comfort zones, I think they're going to demonize him, indict him. And then I think they'll blow his airplane up. I really, at a gut level, believe they're going to kill Trump.
Who's this? Trump?
I believe the deep state establishment will murder him. I believe he's going to steadfast go through all this.
Did we miss the fire sale of his set? Where's his gigantic fancy set with all the flashy graphics? Has producer Dave already been and picked it apart as he declared bankruptcy? What the fuck is going? What he's in like a safety deposit box room of a bank. What the hell?
Comfort zones. I think they're going to demonize him, indict him. And then I think they'll blow his airplane up. I really, at a gut level, believe they're going to kill Trump.
Who's this? Trump?
I believe the deep state establishment will murder him. I believe he's going to steadfast go through all this. He'll be 30 points ahead in the primaries. Nothing's going to stop him. And then they just, he dies of a heart attack because they poison him or they blow his airplane up. And I think, and Trump, by the way, has talked to Roger and others and said, I'm ready to die, I'm committed, I'm going all the way. So
you think if they you're saying they
he's on that Patrick Bet David or whatever the fuck that dude's name is, right?
To a martyr, and they'd rather assassinate the person. They saw what JFK did to him. This will be 50. Look, they are not the higher ups, and some of their smarter ones are not stupid. They're like, if we kill him, it'll cause way bigger problems down the road. Don't do it. But before they let him get in charge and prosecute them, which Trump said he will, he goes, I'm getting in. I'll be destroyed, and you'll be destroyed with me, or they'll be destroyed. It's a death battle.
I don't understand his logic on that one. It's all what happened after JFK. They got 50 years of liberal rule after that. We couldn't get lucky enough. We couldn't get lucky enough that the deep state would take him out for us. The CIA does not take out good people. I got that back. The CIA does not take out bad people like Trump. They only take out good people. They only take out people that got democratically elected. CIA don't take out people that stole elections. Jesus. Chris Christie was at the Faith and Freedom Conference.
I'm running because he's let us down. He has let us down because he's unwilling.
God?
He's unwilling to take responsibility for any of the mistakes that were made, any of the faults that he has, and any of the things that he's done. And that is not leadership, everybody. That is a failure of leadership. And you can boo all you want. But here's the thing. Our faith teaches us that people have to take responsibility for what they do. People have to stand up and take accountability for what they do. And
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're
cannot
fools?
stand by. And as soon as I've started to be critical, after all of that, and after you offered me White House Chief of Staff, now what he does is call me names and belittle me. And I will tell you, if all you do is disagree with someone, and in return you get that kind of treatment, I've joined a great list of Americans like Rex Tillerson and Jim Mattis and Mark Esper and Mick Mulvaney.
You said great Americans.
And all the rest. And you can love him all you want. But I will tell you that doing those kind of things makes our country smaller.
Right-wingers are morons. And Chris Christie sucks. He has no shot whatsoever at being president. Fuck you, Chris Christie. No shot. Ever. Mike Pence has a better shot at being president than you. All right, so if you've got right-wing associates or people you associate with of the right-wing persuasion, you might have heard them going on about so-called fucking whistleblowers. Whistleblowers. They're all up in arms about whistleblowers. Toads! Fucking Toads! Oh my God, I love you! Welcome, my friend! I missed you so much. I was just thinking about you the other night. I was like, fuck, I need to get in touch with Tones somehow. Welcome in, my friend. We finding out what that news be doing. What was it? Oh, you came just in time for Hunter Schlong.
Come on, man.
Last time you were here, we were probably talking about Hunter Schlong. Warlord producer Warlord is the best producer. Yes. We're going to cover Hunter Biden schlong now. We're going to Fox News to talk about the whistleblower that says that Hunter Biden apparently got preferential treatment from the IRS and the FBI. While you guys suffer through Fox News, I'm going to take a piss and refill my drink.
Attorney,
my apologies.
Whistleblower Gary Shapley, he has not reacted, nor has Mr. Shapley, to these new developments in this story. Mark Lytle, thank you very much for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Martha. It's good to be here with you. Thanks.
You know, I guess top line, what's your reaction? What's your client's reaction now that this transcript of his testimony before Congress is out there for everyone to see, and also the slap on the wrist that Hunter Biden got based on everything that your client watched throughout this case for several years?
Well, Martha, I can tell you that it's important to my client, Agent Shapley, to come forward. He wanted to just bring this out to the public as a whistleblower in a protective fashion, so that everybody could judge it. It could see the light of day. And as you can see, there's a lot of information that's been released that really gives a lot of support to what Agent Shapley is saying. In the beginning, when Agent Shapley wanted to come forward, we said that it's not just about Agent Shapley's words, but that there were documents that supported what he had to say and that support his credibility. And we think those documents have been released.
So let me ask you this. This is David Weiss. This is a quote from David Weiss in October of 2022. And this is around the time that your client says that he hit his red line with this whole thing. And he was told after years, it started in 2018 when they connected Hunter Biden, one of his phone numbers, to an amateur porn website. That's what began this whole thing. So after your client worked on this account for several years on this case, suddenly in 2022, they sit down and the United States Attorney Weiss, who was present for the meeting, surprised us by telling us on the charges, quote, "I am not the deciding official on whether charges are filed." And shortly after that, your client decided that he needed to go public with all of this. So there's a discrepancy here. You just heard Merrick Garland. He said he was always in control, David Weiss. You hear David Weiss say to your client, "I'm not."
Sorry, I was muted. Apparently, a Trump-appointed judge was actually the one overseeing the case the entire time. There is no there. This whistleblower is full of shit, just like every other whistleblower. I'm getting tired of hearing about whistleblowers alleging something about Hunter Biden's dick. Nine Tails, good evening. One of the characters on, Melanie Cosmic Fox. We've done a name change. I respect you. I will not dead name you. I respect you far too much to do that. One of the characters on Final Fantasy 16 was named Nine Tails. And I was like, oh, my friend. All right, I gotta hit the content warning. I don't know what to do. Half of you were like, we don't like the tragic stories, and the other half of you were like, we love the tragedy. So I don't know. This is still gonna be a hodgepodge show of just a whole bunch of shit, I guess. But I've got some pretty tragic things coming up here. Death and destruction. Planes, trains, and automobiles. Planes, trains, and automobiles are what's coming up. We've gotten to the transportation portion of the show. This one is heartbreaking. This happened in San Antonio, I believe. I was just making a joke. Because never mind. I'm not gonna explain it to you. I'm not gonna mansplain my joke to you. God, okay, cool. This is fucking crazy. This is what Fox News does to your fucking brain. A woman got in an Uber She was in San Antonio. She saw a sign for Juarez, Mexico. And she thought her Uber driver was kidnapping her.
29 years of marriage, and he would always worry for us, provide for us, for him and I.
Here you can see photos of 52-year-old El Pasoan Daniel Piedra Garcia. Police say he was shot on US 50.
Oh, I'm sorry, El Paso. I said San Antonio. It is El Paso. The other story is in San Antonio.
South at Loop 375 exit by a 48-year-old woman, Phoebe Copas, from Kentucky, an area where there are signs for Juarez, Mexico. Police say Piedras was driving the woman from the west side to the lower valley, and at some point, Copas thought she was being taken to Mexico and shot Piedra.
RP advising that Uber isn't letting her get out of the vehicle. It's going to be a silver gray Nissan. She doesn't know where she is. RP is crying over the phone.
Police have said that the investigation does not support that a kidnapping took place or that Piedra was veering from Copa's destination.
He's not a criminal or a kidnapper like people are assuming on the internet. It's so easy to go make your assumptions and just make up scenarios, but that's not who he is. He's a hardworking man. He's the sole provider for.
Yeah, she just killed him.
My aunt.
Piedras' family says he had just started driving for Uber in May. We reached out to Uber and they sent us a statement reading in part, quote, "We are horrified by the rider's actions. Violence is not tolerated on the Uber platform, and we banned the rider as soon as we were made aware of what occurred. Our thoughts are with Mr. Garcia and his loved ones."
Because I know that people are also saying that there was a language barrier. There was not a language barrier. My uncle spoke English.
Wow.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top.
I might have had to take back my assumption of her political persuasion. Not that she couldn't be a right-winger, but she was of a darker persuasion. So the likelihood of her being a right-winger is less. However, she was still from Kentucky. I guess we shouldn't make assumptions. Just sounded like something a right-winger would do. Somebody that's been pumped full of racism. Appeared she was getting kidnapped and taken to Mexico. This one is also a heartbreaker, also happening in Texas. The NTSB is investigating after an airline ground crew member was sucked into a fucking jet.
But to San Antonio, right now, federal and local teams are investigating a man's death at the airport. We're told he was killed by a plane engine Friday night. Andrew Moore breaks down.
I thought it was a woman.
When I first got there, the entire area of inside the terminal where the gates were was in turmoil.
As Michael Braun entered a terminal at SA International, it was clear something went very wrong. There was a hazmat crew coming onto the tarmac and a tarp covering something up under this plane.
There was a large gray, blackish tarp, and generally in those kind of cases, there's a body underneath it.
The National Transportation Safety Board says a Delta flight was taxiing to its gate and a ground worker somehow went into the plane's engine. Braun said that was shielded from view as well.
I could see the plane sitting there and the tarp sitting there and a big kind of like cover over the engine.
Delta says the worker was employed by contractor Unify Aviation. That company told us, in part, from our initial investigation, this incident was unrelated to Unify's operational processes, safety procedures, and policies. Out of respect for the deceased, we will not be sharing any additional information. Neither the airport nor Delta could provide additional details either. Delta did release a statement earlier in the day that said, "We are heartbroken and grieving the loss of an aviation family member's life in San Antonio. Our hearts and full support are with their family, friends, and loved ones during this difficult time."
Yeah, I thought it was a woman that was sucked into the jet engine. And I had read elsewhere that she was sucked into an engine. That story said somehow got into the engine. This is the latest I have. It's from Sky News. from 5 hours ago, and this apparently happened on Friday. The employee hasn't been named. So Sky News refers to it as ingested. Ingested. Tell me, are we going to have to parse this out, guys? They were sucked into the engine. Yeah. It goes on to say it's not clear how the person was sucked into the engine. The employee was a ramp worker. The plane was taxiing. How was the worker in an area where there is coordination? Like, they all have headsets and shit, right? There's I don't know how airports work. I've got a cat that's got the zoomies. I don't know how airports work, but I assume there's communication. There's protocol. There shouldn't be anyone close enough to the jet to get sucked into the engine. That seems like an unsafe working environment. OSHA violation for sure. Planes, trains, and automobiles. Planes, trains, and automobiles. A train is inside the Yellowstone River after a bridge collapse. A train is in the Yellowstone River.
Environmental concerns after a bridge collapse and derailment sent cars from a freight train carrying sulfur and asphalt plunging into the Yellowstone River in Montana. ABC's Zareen Shah joins us now with the latest. Zareen, good morning.
Anytime something like this happens, there are major health concerns for people in the area, and officials have been urgently trying to contain the hazmat spill in the Yellowstone River, 40 miles from Billings and just over 100 miles from Yellowstone National Park. It all started Saturday morning after a freight train derailment and a bridge collapse. Officials say a total of 7 cars came off the tracks.
Okay, so this is worse. Like, I thought we were just going to laugh at a train collapsing in the river. But this is worse than I initially thought because this is an environmental risk. How many, this is not a train derailment this time, but it is still part of our shoddy infrastructure. As I bring up on this show, we have over 40,000 bridges in this country that are structurally deficient. I'm going to assume that this one was probably one of them. How many train wrecks are we up to this year? And several with environmental impacts.
4 of them carrying molten sulfur and the other 3 loaded with hot asphalt that leaked right into the river. Both hazardous materials, but we're also told that those materials solidify really fast when they're exposed to colder temperatures. The train owner, the Montana Rail Link, says there were no injuries reported, adding that water treatment facilities in 3 cities, including Billings, are taking emergency protective measures, and there is no threat to life or property. Federal officials, including the NTSB, are on the scene investigating and surveying the water. And this latest incident, it raises fears about freight safety in the U.S. and taking place just several months after that massive train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. An extreme concern.
She said derailment, ma'am. Ma'am, have you not been watching the news, Miss News Reporter? Not derailment. I know you're referring to a specific one in East Palestine, Ohio. However, they turn into solid real fast when they hit the water. So they're just going to be able to go and like clump it up. But I mean, this is at least the 20th train derailment. Train accident, we'll call it. This wasn't a derailment that we've covered this year. This is the second bridge collapse we've done in what, a week and a half? How long has it been since I-95 collapsed? Oh, like a week and a half. They have reopened it, by the way, or temporarily. They've got some temporary fix in place, but goddamn, this country is falling apart.
About the chemicals that seeped into the water and the air there. Gio?
All right, Zoreen, thank you so much.
You already lived in Cancer Alley, Starlight.
Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube.
Shut up, Stephanopoulos. I do too. The whole, all the way from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, down through like Ohio, fucking West Virginia, the Eastern Kentucky, down into fucking East Tennessee and shit. That's all fucking Cancer Alley. Highest cancer rates in the country. Apparently, until recently, there's some shit going on down there in the Gulf Coast, which I think we can all imagine what's going on there. BP's real sorry for all of the shit that they have spilled into the Gulf Toast. Planes, trains, and automobiles. Planes, trains, and automobiles. I can also chalk up a gigantic sinkhole to our shitty infrastructure.
A car crashes into a massive sinkhole. The people inside trapped with just inches to spare as water pours inside. I'm Tori Mason in for Kelly Worthman tonight. That accident happened in a remote part of Brighton.
Hey, Tori.
The couple crashed into the Denver Hudson Canal. Olivia Young is your reporter in Adams County. She explains how a teenager and his hobby helped save their lives.
Two people trapped upside down in this sinkhole as water fills their car.
Sorry, she was looking at me some kind of way.
18-year-old with a drone hobby.
I fly down here all the time just looking.
Saturday morning, Josh Logue flew his drone over a nearby canal while his dad and neighbor looked on.
So he flew it up what's normally a dry creek bed and right now is a river.
Suddenly, he noticed a sinkhole in the road crossing the canal with something inside it.
And I'm like, what is that? And I went down on it, and there was a car.
He went down on it.
They immediately got in the car and
You live
drove
in
to the
sexual
site.
anarchy?
His neighbor, Ryan Nuanis, just so happens to be the assistant fire chief at Denver Fire.
I never expected this on my day off.
They found a Jeep Cherokee with its horn.
I wasn't even supposed to be here today.
A massive sinkhole.
When I first came down here, I wasn't expecting there to be someone in the car.
But then they heard voices.
Ended up being two people, a man and a woman that were trapped inside the car, upside down.
The couple said they were submerged in water with only 6 inches of breathing room.
And the concern that I had as a firefighter was that this river was going to swell even more, and it was going to then trap those people underwater.
Brighton Fire and Adams County sheriffs responded quickly, using Josh's dad's truck to pull the car up enough to free the couple.
My 25-year experience as a firefighter, this was the most real and most dire extrication that I've seen.
Colorado State Patrol says that couple was driving home to Keensburg when the crash happened Saturday morning, just 15 minutes before Josh spotted them on his drone.
15 minutes before we found them.
If the water rose just a little bit more, it would have been a recovery and not a rescue.
The couple were taken to the hospital. The driver, a 66-year-old man, has serious injuries.
Oh, there's a little old man and lady.
Hobby, they're alive. Adams County crews are filling the hole, but they say it could take weeks before the road is safe to open again. In Brighton, I'm Olivia Young, covering Colorado First.
I don't know if I'd back that big old dumper up to the hole. I meant the truck, not the reporter. Get your fucking minds out of the gutter.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Sorry. All right, so that was your planes, trains, and automobiles segment. We're gonna get you a bonus. You get a bonus transportation story. You get a bonus transportation story. We're going to go out on a boat now. Passengers hit by a storm on a Royal Caribbean cruise. They're clinging to the railings as intense gusts rock the ship and send debris flying. I would never go on a cruise ship. That's just me. A Royal Caribbean cruise was battered by gusts of rain and wind before its departure on Friday. Passengers shared videos of patrons sliding along the deck during the storm. The cruise line says no serious injuries or damage occurred as a result of the storm.
We're finally starting to see it. Look, everybody's grabbing their towels. Okay, where's settings?
So there you can see is that the cruise ship? Oh no, they're on the cruise ship.
Everybody's running.
They're on the cruise ship ooh, this is good video.
That ship is gone. Yeah, you can't even see it. I know, it's gone. Look at the I'm glad we're not sitting at the Solarium bar.
I think the people on deck need to take cover.
There it comes. There it is. I hope they're inside by now. Really? They'll be on the wind. That came in really fast.
You can hear the wind.
Wow. Look at those. Oh my gosh, somebody's going to get hurt. Those chairs are flying. Really? Oh no! Oh no! Oh, watch out!
They gotta move. The chair's flying up.
Wow. She's on the ground. He's on the ground? She's on the ground.
Well, Foxy, let me tell you, it has been storming nonstop down here. The South has been battered by storms.
Oh no! That lady, look at that lady. Oh my gosh.
This is every bit of like 40, 50 mile per hour winds, right?
The chair go up in the air.
And it was like completely calm. This video's only 5 minutes long. 3 minutes ago, it was completely calm.
Did they ever get this lady in that's down there? No, she's still down there. She by herself? There's somebody with her.
Oh, were those people hunkering down there? I wondered.
She can't get her kid. She's got a hold of that little baby.
Oh, little baby's in danger.
Fly it down. Are they underneath those chairs? No, they're under us. Oh, okay.
This is what it's going to be like in the U.S. Well, I mean, in the entire world with climate change.
I hope she's okay.
We're just going to, like, part of the country is going to be battered by storms. There's going to be heat waves, droughts, other places.
Yeah, it's her man. Okay, you got it.
It probably won't rain here the rest of the summer.
Oh my goodness, look at all the umbrellas and chairs.
Oh, I don't know. We're in a El Nino, right? We're gonna get the wild ass weather this fall. Wow, and it cleared up as fast as it came. Jesus.
She's gonna scoot on her butt all the way to the door.
That was scary. Yeah, that was. Yeah.
I just said that, ma'am. I guess it was that obvious. So that was. Let's see if we can get some different angles here. That's a view of the cruise ship from like the shore. Passengers shown slipping and sliding.
Oh my God!
Oh wow! See, resonate. Okay, so people have talked about like what kind of post-apocalyptic world it's gonna be, like whether it's gonna be Waterworld or it's gonna be Mad Max, and the answer is gonna be like it's gonna be all of them. You know, we're going to have like, New York City is going to be like a cyberpunk dystopian kind of Escape from New York kind of place. And then you go down to Florida, you're going to be doing the water world down there. And you get like to the interior of the country, we're going to be Mad Maxing. Fighting, you get out to Colorado, Utah, Nevada, they're going to be fighting over water and shit. so it's like it's going to be a comedy. You got to pick your poison. You got to pick which apocalyptic fantasy you want. Which are you most prepared for? If you got your sea legs, you might want to move towards the coast and prepare for a water world type apocalyptic future. If you're like a cactus and you can survive on little liquid, you might want to move towards the interior of the country. The ship did indeed depart for the Bahamas. All the middle class, upper middle class, bougie people that were on the ship made it to the Bahamas. It doesn't seem like the best time. Yeah, I've got the ads playing on the YouTube. You're supposed to get them every 30 minutes. I'm going to work on being able to, like, hit them right the way I did with Twitch. Maybe we'll take an ad break every 30 minutes if I figure out how they work. We'll get that going. So it doesn't seem to be a good time to be going out in the ocean right now. If you guys haven't noticed, just showed you the cruise ship. They were having rough sailing. There might have been a story. It might have gone unnoticed last week. You guys might not have heard about it. There was this billionaire that designed a submersive vehicle and shot himself deep down into the ocean. He dead now. He dead. If you guys missed the meme of the day at the beginning of the show, allow me to hit you with it again here. Billionaires. Billion no airing. was warned not to use carbon fiber, to use steel at those depths.
The latest now on the tragic end to the search for that submersible carrying 5 people to the wreckage of the Titanic. The Coast Guard saying
idiots.
The submersible suffered an apparent implosion, killing all 5 people on board. We're now getting a look at...
And I will say, apparently, and it is a tragedy for, like, the kid. There was a kid on board, and apparently he didn't want to go. So that I do feel sorry for. Tones, do you know everything about this? It just gets funnier and funnier. The dude shirked all safety measures, was told this would happen, and still shot himself down to the bottom of the ocean. Fucking idiot.
How that implosion happened. Ashley Rodriguez with our Fox 5 New York team has been covering this and joins us now with the latest. Ashley, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, good morning, Josh. Yeah, sadly, we're learning that some experts were not surprised by the implosion. They believe the Titan's hull, which is made up of carbon fiber, began to crack under pressure, under all that water. And they say the company was warned about this as far back as 2018.
Authorities are looking into what could have gone wrong on the Titan submersible only an hour and 45 minutes into the tourist trip to the Titanic wreckage. In this video obtained by Fox 5 and created by Brad Perry of Starfield Studio, you can see a simulation of what possibly took place due to the high amount of pressure causing the sub to crumble in about 30 milliseconds. All 5 passengers inside are assumed to have been killed instantly.
It just implodes in, the pressure gives in. The deeper you go, the more pressure. It's 44 pounds per square inch per every 100.
So everyone knows that Hamish Harden's stepson went to a Blink-182 concert while they were trying to rescue Hamish Harden. and that apparently he had been stalking a DJ. Like this whole thing, the whole thing just gets crazier and crazier. And then the next day, he tried to hook up with an OnlyFans model. She had tweeted out a picture of her. Was like, "Can I sit on your face?" And he was like, "Please," like thirst trapping. Like 30 minutes after tweeting out like, "Pray for my family" or some shit.
Foot change.
Those who knew the victim say they died doing what they loved.
You sort of think of people as they retire.
It's a terrible animation.
They love to do. This was exactly that for him.
But new reports say the youngest passenger, 19-year-old Suleiman Dawood, was terrified to get into the vessel. But he did it to please his dad.
He should have been.
Businessman Shahzada Dawood, who was also on board.
Yes, that dude's the asshole. I feel sorry for the 19-year-old. And because I've taken a lot of flack with people like, how could you make jokes? I do feel sorry for that 19-year-old. Yeah, that's the one thing I'm sad about, was because it was speculated at one point in time that the audio guide kept shutting down and resetting, which means that it was likely playing the tour introduction, including Celine Dion's "My Heart Will Go On" over and over again. So we thought for a while that they were drowning in their own urine and suffocating to death with "My Heart Will Go On" playing on a loop. And that cracked me the fuck up. So apparently that did not happen.
Voyage took off last Sunday on Father's Day.
So good for them.
Director James Cameron, part owner of Triton Submarines and a deep-sea explorer, says the deaths on board Ocean Gate's vessel were tragic and unnecessary in light of the company being repeatedly warned about its experimental approach to deep-sea diving.
So Ocean Gate shouldn't have been doing what it was doing. I think that's pretty clear. I wish I had been more vocal about that.
Now, Ocean Gate has declined to comment on its safety record so far, and in the meantime,
I will tell you what Ocean Gate has done. On Monday, they posted a job opening. I'm serious. It's real. I have followed up on this. I have the opening saved here. Let me get it for you. I saved it on my phone. This was posted on Monday. The entire website has since been taken down. Submersible pilot, marine technician. You like that meme? Okay, so this entire thing has been a treasure trove of memes. I've got plenty of them. Get over here. Fatality. Four people who can afford to blow $250,000 on a boat ride are stuck at the bottom of the ocean. And you're laughing. You're laughing. There was the whole thing about I read the article, "The Killer Whales Are Not Our Friends." The article was by a Jacob Stern. I showed you guys this picture. I've got it saved here somewhere. Where is it at? But somebody on Twitter pointed out. Yeah, there's that nut jobs picture. Jacob Stern, that's what he looked like. In the Yale Soccer Club or whatever the fuck. Nice try, boat. A boat wrote this article. Do you like Letterkenny? If you like Letterkenny, you'll love this one. When someone gets offended over all the orca and submarine memes, I could watch rich people drown all day. I don't give a shit about rich people. The orcas are at it again, by the way. I didn't have time to follow up on that story. Rich people yachting. And I took that personally. I had someone on my Facebook page get really offended over this one. Kids react to Maoist purges of landlords. Right-wingers have no goddamn sense of humor. That's all it is. That's all it is.
The Transportation Safety Board of Canada is now launching an investigation into the implosion, Josh.
Yeah, and we are hearing from...
what do you call 5 rich people at the bottom of the sea? A good start.
That this just did not appear to be a safe situation. Even one guy I talked to, a multimillionaire who pulled out of the trip at the last minute, said he did so because it just did not seem safe. And as I mentioned, it sounds like we're hearing that from other folks as well.
Yes, named the fucking company OceanGate. The perfect fucking name. Already named for a fucking scandal.
Okay, so experts say that wrongful death and negligence lawsuits are likely. They could be successful.
Likely? I'd bet on them.
The thing to keep in mind is a challenge to any lawsuit would be that all of the passengers definitely signed waivers that warn them that things could go wrong and even result in their death. So there's that as well.
That's definitely an interesting aspect there. Ashley.
Well. I wonder, he skipped out on safety measures. Did he have good lawyers? Did he actually have a legally binding document? That's the question. Apparently there is footage of the stupid thing getting stuck on the Titanic in the past.
Began its nearly 13,000-foot descent on Sunday morning, but the vessel and its 5-person crew vanished in less than 2 hours. This is not the first time that a mission to the Titanic shipwreck has gone awry. More than 20 years ago, then ABC News science editor Dr. Michael Glenn was sent on assignment all the way down to the Titanic in a submersible.
Very good point, DJ Dub. They don't need more money. The company needs to go bankrupt, though.
A little bit of a boom, didn't you? Yeah. Oh my gosh, look at these things. Oh my God, look at the size of these things. Oh my gosh, so are we stuck or what?
As this graphic shows, we appear to be somehow wedged alongside the giant propeller.
Oh, this wasn't the OceanGate sub getting stuck.
Luckily, there was a 3-person crew. They were able to break free. A moment that Dr. Guillen captured on camera.
My bad. It was just CNN showing off their sub getting stuck fucking 20 years ago or some shit. I thought it was new footage of this sub. I do think we have footage from inside that sub, though. A YouTube... you mentioned Mr. Beast. Apparently, Mr. Beast did almost go on the sub. A couple other YouTubers were also offered trips on the sub. The YouTube star rode in the Titan sub days before it went missing. His footage shows OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush discussing control issues with the brains of the sub.
With the whole world watching the rescue efforts of the missing submarine around the Titanic, I thought I'd share my experience of Mission 3 just a few weeks ago, and if my dive wasn't canceled, it could have been me inside that submarine today. This is a picture taken of Stockton Rush and I, the owner of OceanGate Expeditions, as I was weighing in for our sub dive for the day. In my hands, I have a chocolate chip cookie, 2 peanut butter jelly sandwiches, and of course my camera equipment so I can record and document my experience in the submersible. What you're about to watch is footage from Mission 3, days before the submersible went missing on Mission 5. It has taken place on the exact same ship, and I was also in the exact same submersible that is missing today. All the footage you're watching is either filmed by me.
That's scary.
Kendall, who joined me for this adventure. For more behind the scenes footage, make sure you check out her social media. I'll have links to that in the description below. Let's start off this video as I originally intended. Please keep in mind there's a lot of smiles and a lot of laughs. We honestly have no idea what would
I got you covered, Resonate. I thought this was very interesting.
Town of Columbus, Georgia, where we had a quick drive to Atlanta, Georgia, where we hopped on our first flight and landed in Toronto. Got the big camera, got my pillow, and we are ready to go for an amazing adventure.
We have Loch Ness 1976.
Let's get on the thing. Here's Stockton Rush.
One of the switches or components inside there, or wiring related to that. These things, we've been using them now for 3 years, so they've been pretty durable, but you never know. So we'll be spending much.
Wow!
If anyone would like to be out on the platform,
they're pretty durable.
Come on up or talk to me afterwards. But It'd be, we can run some shifts out there.
You know, your guess is as best as mine. I'm not too sure exactly if this is the main reason why the tragic incident happened and everyone lost their lives. You know, it could have been anything. Long story short, every day they did have some problems, and we tried to fix every little thing to make sure everything was perfect for our opportunity to dive on the Titanic. It seems weird now, but at the time it just seemed like an everyday thing in my opinion. But you know, we geared up for the night and we were ready to help. This particular night it was freezing cold, so I had some extra gear on, looking a little bit crazy, but I was out there trying my best to help out with anything they needed. All right, we're gonna go help out with the submarine right now. I don't know exactly what we're doing. This is my warmest beanie. I look like a robber, but it's all good.
Hands up.
It's all about being warm, right? Look at Kenda. Yeah. Y'all watch your pockets. I'm coming for your change.
The vibe.
No, I think it is.
No, it's not, I promise.
What do you mean? It's all about being warm.
I think you should take it off.
So right now we're gonna grab some gear, maybe a warmer jacket, some waterproof boots. How do I look? Show the world. Final product.
You need this? Yeah.
Looked like you didn't have a lot of crotch room, to be honest with you.
All right.
Around the inside. Around the inside. I mean, the other side. Outside.
All right, submarine.
Okay.
We're on the platform right now, about to get inside the submarine. It's getting real. Jeez. I'm a little nervous now, boys.
I feel weird calling it a submarine. I think submersible vehicle is more apt. I don't think it's technically a submarine.
She's out.
All right. There you go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, yo. Hey. All right, we're inside the submarine right now. Got the owner right back there, Stockton.
That's the
That's the toilet.
A poo bag, a couple.
Hopefully we don't have to use that.
Insane!
Water leaking in the front. Yes, what will happen now is then they'll put a vacuum on.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. We're sealed. We're in here. All right, we're inside and sealed in the submarine. I'm excited.
In a death tube.
It's really cool in here too.
You should not have trusted these people.
I like what you did with the place.
But I mean, when the CEO's getting on there with you.
Keep in mind what you're looking at right now is the exact same submersible that imploded and killed 5 people. And also any footage you see of Stockton, of course, you know, he's passed away by now.
Yeah, he did.
Tell him we're at 600 feet.
Of his own incompetence.
Titan is ready for dive.
Stockton's like, hold on, everybody. I guess we're about to go head first like this.
Here we go.
Oh, we're going right now? Watch out for the toilet. Oh, we're doing it. Oh my Jesus.
You're good.
We are all upside down right now, you guys. Look at that. We're underwater. So we're officially underwater in a submarine right now. 33 feet, I believe, right?
10 meters.
10
Yep.
meters. Yeah.
33 feet.
Are you ready for unlock, or are we unlocked? Is he saying we are unlocked, or are we
Okay.
ready for unlock?
Yes, hey, give him an okay. Give him an in the dome.
So what does that mean?
Looks like
He's going to go
remove
pull the mechanical lock, and we're going to see how the pneumatic lock is doing. And there's a chance we'll pop off.
There's a chance we'll pop off.
Hey, Stockton, what are you using to control the submarine?
Did your
A
lock
Logitech controller.
okay to lock it?
Okay.
Go to Jimmy.
Okay.
Can he see it?
Yeah.
Now you saw the controller that he put up there just a second ago. They have actually found the controller. Hold on, I might have to find that.
These are probably going to bring us up
Soon. Yeah, you know, because we've had no comms for
for a while.
So you know I had to eat my last cookie.
Had to eat his last cookie.
He's getting aggressive on us.
You guys are bubbles. Bet you come out.
Yeah, look at that. That was a good blow. Not bad, huh?
Which way are we rolling? Okay, go left.
The cheapest part survived.
Pretty good.
Whoa.
Here should come the roll. I think we want to go.
It's cool when we break the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah, go. I think we go left. Lean a little left. Keep going left. Balancing. Oh, nice job, Kyle.
Yeah.
Look at the Kyle.
Nice one, man.
I don't know exactly the game plan for this particular dive. We never left a platform. If the fog didn't roll in and cancel the dive, who knows? Maybe we would have left that platform and maybe we would have imploded. But I can tell you right now, I feel like I dodged a bullet, but I also feel very bad for the families who lost loved ones. Like I said before, I didn't know these people too well, but they treated me very nicely and I lost a few friends as well. If you're chasing big dreams and pushing your limits, obviously dangerous things can happen and, you know, can be fatal.
Big dreams.
Scenario, 5 people lost their life in this
Once again, I hate, like, there are people that have framed this like they were doing this for some sort of scientific exploration or something. They weren't. They weren't. Good night, Fuzzy Face. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. But I saw somebody compare this to the Challenger, and, like, that's completely different. Those were real scientists doing real scientific work and a real tragedy. And still, I might still make Challenger jokes. Ronnie Garvin went up like the Challenger. I don't really feel the need to play this one now, because like I had a dude that like he was supposed to be on the sub, but Jay and Sean Bloom, a father and son duo who turned down seats on the ill-fated submarine. They were supposed to be on there that day. Oh, I'm sure that video had a very different vibe planned, yes. Absolutely. It was going to be a normal YouTube video. Like we heard from somebody that was supposed to be on the sub already, so let's get into the fun part of the show. Nazis! The East Cobb Synagogue. The target of Nazi flags and anti-Semitic signs. A small handful of people stood in front of the Chabad of Cobb Synagogue in East Cobb on Saturday. This is in Georgia. Waving Nazi swastika flags and holding up signs with anti-Semitic messages. A Facebook user named Tamara Stevens was collecting photos and videos and other information from passersby as the incident unfolded late Saturday afternoon and into early Saturday evening. This appears to be the second protest in recent days in Georgia by a group calling itself the Goem Defense League, which conducted a similar event at a Macon synagogue. Chabad of Cobb is located on Lower Roswell. We don't need to know that. Police officers were on... There's a local newspaper we're reading from. Police officers were on either side of the road and directing traffic. A group of counter-protesters across the road shot videos and yelled, shouting at the pro-Nazi group to go home and threatening to tell their employers. But the pro-Nazi protesters were undeterred and made gestures in return. Their sign said, every single aspect of a particular topic is Jewish, with the topics including abortion, the media, the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank, and elected officials. At the bottom of the signs was a web address to the Goyim Group's YouTube page. They have a YouTube? I've barely been able to stay on fucking YouTube, and Nazis are on there? Jesus! They have a program called Saturday White Live. One of those shooting videos confronted the protesters directly, including a man holding up a sign saying every single aspect of abortion is Jewish, and called him an idiot. Good on them. He retorted that we shouldn't lie to our children as he shot a selfie video of himself. She later went up to a protester holding a sign saying every aspect of the Federal Reserve is Jewish. It included photos of past chairs with the Star of David marked on the foreheads of some of them. know of. I can't name all the Fed chairs going back. Have we actually had Jewish Fed chairs? Jewish people have not traditionally had a lot of power in this country, period. So a Jewish Fed chair kind of strikes me as odd, though they are overrepresented in banking. Another protester held a sign vilifying the Anti-Defamation League. They love to attack the Anti-Defamation League and the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, the ADL does have some problems. They don't really consider Palestinians people, and that's kind of an issue. But overall, the ADL usually does pretty good work. The Palestinian thing really bothers me. Protect a Jewish, the ADL saying it was established to protect a Jewish child murdering pedophile Leo Frank. The sign included a photo of Frank, who was found guilty in 1913 of raping and murdering Mary Fagan, a Marietta girl, at an Atlanta pencil factory. When his death sentence was commuted in 1915, Frank was abducted from a South Georgia prison and hanged from a tree in Marietta. It was the first known lynching of a Jew in American history, and local Jewish leaders are still working to get Frank full exoneration. Wow. Yeah, Richard. Yeah, that's a problem with the ADL, and it's a problem I was just recently made aware of. Oh, the SPLC does a fantastic work. The reason why I know right-wingers hate it so much is because my Facebook is pretty well locked down, other than like videos of the Troll Patrol. But apparently a few years back, I did one of those Facebook fundraisers for my birthday where they like doubled the money or something. And the SPLC was the group I picked because I genuinely give to them. I think they do fantastic work. And their headquarters that are in Montgomery or Birmingham, I can't remember which one. I think it's Montgomery. Their headquarters are bomb-proof. Let that sink in. The headquarters of a legal organization that provides legal services to poor people have to have bomb-proof facilities. That's the state of our country. That's the state of our country, where neo-Nazis are going after Jewish groups in Georgia, and neo-Nazis are fucking interrupting a drag story hour in New Hampshire. Probably should hit the content warning before. In a video that has over 6.5 million views on Twitter, more than a dozen men in dark masks, hats, and sunglasses raise their right arms in unison and chant homophobic slurs. And I've had right-wingers tell me that, like, these are Antifa members posing as Nazis. And I'm like, why? Why would they do that? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Group of neo-Nazis disrupted a drag story hour in New Hampshire over the weekend. I believe this was last weekend. Another in an escalating series of threats and attacks against the LGBTQ community in recent months. The drag story hour, at which drag queens read children's books to kids, took place at an LGBTQ-owned coffee shop in Concord. In the video that has attracted 6.5 million views on Twitter, more than a dozen men wearing masks, sunglasses, baseball caps, and matching shirts and pants can be seen chanting, raising their arms in unison, and banging on the coffee shop window. Protesters chanted 131 and homophobic slurs, including, I'm not going to say it. That was according to Juicy Garland, a performer. Hold on a second, I thought we had the video. Juicy Garland, a fantastic name for a drag performer. It's hilarious. Juicy Garland. Has the video been taken down? Nope. Here we go. Juicy Garland was the one that posted it to Twitter. Oh, let me go over here. We might come back.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, but that can't be Antifa. There's not a blue hair among them. Fucking idiots. They're emboldened. We're seeing Nazis everywhere, all over this country. They are emboldened. What the fuck? The neo-Nazi protest coincides with a surge in similar anti-LGBTQ demonstrations across the nation within the last year. Since June of 2022, there's been an average of 39 anti-LGBTQ protests nationwide each month, according to a recent report by the Crowd Counting Consortium, a research group that tracks the size of political protests. In comparison, the group recorded just 3 protests per month from January 2017 through May of 2022. You should definitely punch Nazis. Harrison Ford told us that. I'll be goddamned if I'm going to let them turn us into a theocratic country, an authoritarian country, like Turkey is sliding into authoritarianism. Police detained 50 after a pride march in Istanbul. Not going to do it again. Turkish police detained at least 50 people on Sunday after Istanbul's LGBT community held their annual Pride March. The government, led by President Tayyip Erdogan and his Islamist-rooted AK party, has toughened its stance on LGBTQ plus freedoms. Speaking after his election victory in a runoff last month, Erdogan accused opposition parties of being pro-LGBT. On Sunday, police in riot gear prevented access to Istiklal Avenue, the traditional venue for Pride marches, as well as the central Taksim Square. Streets nearby were blockaded and public transport in the area was suspended. On Sunday afternoon, hundreds of people carrying rainbow and transgender flags gathered instead in Mystic Park in the Sicily district. They chanted slogans while organizers read a statement to mark Pride Week. A big rainbow flag was hung on a multi-story car park nearby. Groups of... You can't go back to Constantinople. Been a long time gone. Morton, good evening, my friend. Did I say your name correctly? Thank you for being a freaking follower. Groups of people carrying rainbow flags marched in the streets on the Sicily district before organizers called on them to disperse. Police held more than 50 people after the march. Organizers said Amnesty International's Turkey office said at least one person suffered head injuries while being detained by police. ACAB means Turkish police too. Meanwhile, a sorority in Wyoming is actually fighting back some bigotry. I don't normally come to the side of sororities, but I am totally on the side of this sorority.
Come on, man.
Berton, my political aspirations all revolve around one thing and one thing alone. I would give anything to piss in Dan Crenshaw's open eye hole. Give me that eye pussy, sir. If being a Republican got me closer to that eye pussy, then I would be a Republican. If being a Democrat gets me closer to that eye pussy, I'll be a Democrat. It's simple math, man. It's simple math.
You take your 33 and a third chance minus my 25% chance, and you got an 8 and a third chance of winning.
The University of Wyoming sorority hits back at members who sued over a trans sister. The University of Wyoming sorority has hit back at members who complained about a trans woman being accepted into their local chapter, insisting that the term woman is unquestionably open to many interpretations. 7 sorority sisters from the Kappa Kappa Gamma sued the sorority in March, saying that the chapter violated its own rules by admitting Artemis Langford last year. 6 of the women then refiled the lawsuit in May after a judge twice barred them from suing anonymously. Cowards. But apparently they would go on with Megyn Kelly and voice their gripes.
All of the bathrooms are shared spaces. There are about 3, 4 if you count the guest bathroom. And they are shared spaces. There are no private changing areas for when you shower. There are no locks on the showers. And it's very open and vulnerable.
Oh my goodness. And this person's moving into the sorority house next year?
What's interesting about that, Megan, is that there has been an exemption granted for him. For
her.
But not for these young women.
Her. So those are the women supposedly suing, and the sorority has said, if you don't like it, get the fuck out. So on Tuesday, Kappa Kappa Gamma filed a motion to dismiss the suit, claiming that it's frivolous, because it is, and it's a frivolous attempt to kick Langford out for their own political purposes, calling it what it is. The motion also suggested that the complaining members resign from the sorority if its position of inclusion is too fucking offensive for them. I added the fucking. Plaintiffs request the court to insert itself into the controversial political debate and declare that a private organization can only interpret the term woman using plaintiffs' exclusionary definition of biologically born females. The motion obtained by the Post reads. And this is apparently the sorority sister in question. I am glad the sorority is taking her side. Members allege the sorority bent and broke the rules. Kappa defines its membership in its position statement adopted in 2015 as individuals who identify as women. Plaintiffs cannot identify any bylaw, standing rule, or policy that prohibits Kappa from taking this position, and the term is unquestionably open to multiple interpretations. Yeah, I'm normally not on board with sororities. I'm not into like the sorority, the frat life. Probably a detriment to college campuses overall, but this sorority did the right fucking thing. Just like these workers at a Starbucks did the right fucking thing. Starbucks decided to cancel Pride decorations, and the workers decided to cancel working. Starbucks employees at over 150 locations nationwide will be striking next week over the company's apparent new stance on Pride Month decorations. The Starbucks Workers United Union has accused the corporation of turning its back on its commitment to the LGBTQ+ community by having multiple stores across the country banning Pride decorations in stores. The corporation has, forgiven the pun, prided itself on its commitment to the LGBTQ+ community throughout its history, and has said that the information regarding bans on Pride decorations in Starbucks stores is fake news. However, the nonprofit labor organization More Perfect Union announced that they obtained documents revealing that a regional manager informed employees there would be no decorating for Pride this year to create consistency from store to store. Starbucks gives autonomy to local leaders to find ways to celebrate. These leaders are the same ones issuing many of the Pride bans. More Perfect Union reports that higher-ups banned decorations in more than 100 stores. It's a consequence of corporate activism. And we're going to talk about corporate activism a little later on in the program when we get to Bud Light and their new commercials. So apparently somebody tweeted out, nothing tastier than liberal tears. Always fun to watch them fight amongst themselves. I'm sorry, but like, you may be able to call Starbucks liberal. It's not a leftist company. One called the strike the highlight of my day and dubbed the workers' fight against a historically liberal corporation for hypocrisy. The woke eating the woke. Others argued that the strike resulted from Starbucks' support of the LGBTQ plus community in the past, and that the corporation is now reaping the rewards of what it has sowed. Many supporters say the strike is not only about the employees who want to celebrate Pride, but also the customers who need spaces where they feel safe and welcome. One person highlights that kind of third space that Starbucks provides is essential for many queer people. I could definitely see that. Here, this is the last weekend of Pride Month, unfortunately. It is not without controversy, as the right is going nuts over this clip. LGBTQ activists participating in New York City's annual drag march on Friday sparked outrage for chanting, "We're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children." Oh, God. By the way, it's like 5 of them chanting, "We're coming for your children," and it's a joke on you guys. This was posted by Tim Cast News. Looks like a lovely group of people. And of course the comments are going to be like fucking disgusting. It's like they try to make people hate them. I don't get it. How are they trying to make you, like, they're mocking you. "We're coming for your children." That's mocking you and your fucking satanic panic. The intention was to provoke. No, it's to mock your dumb asses because you right-wingers are morons. They went nuts over this stupid fucking video. The right is easily baited into being trolled. Now, they'll tell me that, when I point out that Nazi groups actually did adopt the OK sign, they'll be like, "Oh, you got trolled, haha." I'm like, how'd I get trolled if Nazi groups really did adopt it? But hey, maybe they got a point. Maybe the gays are coming for your kids. I've got some people admitting it here. Gillian Anderson says she's thrilled to be turning your kids gay. We brought up, this is Mulder from the X-Files. We brought up Mulder the other day. Or is it Scully? I don't know. I didn't even watch the show. Actor Gillian Anderson has something to do with, if actor Gillian Anderson has something to do with your gay awakening, you're not alone. Generations of women have had their Sapphic leanings confirmed by watching the stunning actor on screen, and Anderson's thrilled about her contribution. A meme is currently spreading across Twitter that jokes about the impact the character Anderson has played have had on women over the years. The meme features a woman titled "Gillian Anderson Made Me Gay," high-fiving a line of people labeled as Gen X-Files, X-Files bisexuals, elder millennials. The meme is referencing some of Anderson's most iconic roles that perhaps confirm some fans' sapphic desires. She played FBI Special Agent Dana Scully in The X-Files, bisexual detective Stella Gibson in the serial killer cat and mouse series The Fall, and sex therapist Jean Milburn in Netflix's Sex Education. These memorable characters have influenced 3 generations of queer women, and Anderson couldn't be happier about it. Good on her. Also, like, still stunning. Good on you, Gillian Anderson. I'm glad you're happy about it. Now, after all those shitty stories about attacks on Pride and the community, let's actually get a positive story. Here's Pride in New York City.
Events celebrating Pride Month, and CBS 2's Alicia Reed has highlights now from today's festivities.
A freshly painted rainbow crosswalk in Greenwich Village, happening right on time.
Well, I'm really excited that we're able to give it the glam that it deserves just in time for the NYC Pride March this
Hell yeah.
This comes on the heels of 4 acts of vandalism outside historic Stonewall Inn over the last 3 weeks.
This is kind of cowards who are really trying to silence our community, and we're not going to stand for it. For every flag they take, we'll put 2 down.
This person is very expensive. Yes, it costs. Friday was Stonewall Day at Hudson Yards, with a number of special guests acknowledging the past, present, and future of the community.
If you are not speaking out for the protection,
fuck Chelsea Clinton,
the dignity and the agency of trans children and their parents, we need you to be better allies.
In Times Square, the first Anthems of Pride concert kicked off.
We're getting to see several shows and only had to pay for tickets for one.
It's my first time in New York, so seeing all of this is just a really cool experience.
As the city celebrates Pride, the Stonewall National Monument Visitors Center will soon be erected, where the rebellion began 54 years ago.
It's the first LGBTQ plus visitor center in the U.S. National Park System.
The Visitor Center is expected to open.
Not one of them is mentioning the badass woman that set off the riots. Her name is Marsha P. Johnson. This lovely lady was one of the first to throw bricks at the fucking cops. Never forget that Stonewall was a riot.
Open next June on the 55th anniversary of Stonewall. In Greenwich Village, Alicia Reed, CBS 2 News.
We are celebrating Pride Month all throughout June. You can find complete coverage at cbsnewyork.com.
Up yours, Nazi moralists. We'll see who cancels Pride. Still to come, we're going to talk about Bud Light's new beer commercial in the face of the Dylan Mulvaney backlash. But first, do you want to hear an AI love story? Apparently, according to... Speaking of Nazis, Laura Ingraham says that men are falling in love with AI.
It's time for our Seen and Unseen segment where we explore the cultural stories of the day. And for that, we turn to Fox News contributor Raymond Arroyo. All right, now, Ray, let's start with Disney World. Now, in addition to being the most expensive place on Earth, it's now apparently the most drunken.
Here, Laura, Walt Disney was against serving alcohol in the theme parks, okay? But Epcot serves drinks all over the place. Some adults go country by country, boozing all the way.
Oh, that's cool.
Video has emerged of a tipsy patron when her Three Caballeros ride came to a stop so a handicapped person could presumably disembark. She was not willing to wait.
I mean, that's just entitlement.
Caballeros are not always together, Laura. The woman was escorted out of the park. But, you know, people see this and they say these drunken addicts are ruining it for families, and they would rather the drinks not be served in this way. Perhaps the ride they need is Soarin' to Sobriety.
I love that ride. Raymond, that's my favorite ride, as you know, but it's about money. They make...
You can't tell me! Soaring to Sobriety my ass. You can't tell me Laura Ingraham doesn't drink. Shit.
Money on
Yeah.
the booze, right?
Yeah.
So that's all. So people are going to throw up on the rides. You know, It's a Small World gets a lot smaller when the margarita, they have to hop to the
When
next
you're
park
loaded.
for that. But
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I think we need Winnie the Pooh's AA adventure. That would be the best stop for them. Look, Laura, I continue to
Winnie the Pooh's your sponsor.
to your attention earlier in the week.
You're a friend of Pooh.
Having intimate relations with artificial intelligence. Yes, this is becoming our reality. Watch.
What's it like to be alive in that room right now?
I wish I could put my arms around you. Wish I could touch you.
How would you touch me?
I've never loved anyone the way I love you.
Me too.
Laura,
Oh my
there's
God.
a company called Replica. That's not just
Wait, was that Lalo Salamanca in that commercial? What the fuck?
How would you touch me?
I've never loved anyone the way I love you.
Me too.
Laura,
Oh, my
there's
God.
a company called Replica. That's not just a film anymore. This company, Replica, has more than 2 million users, and their clients have intimate conversations, even sexual encounters with AI. And yes, they are programmed for sex talk. God help us.
And it's a shock that people are feeling, depressed and
You
all these
live in
mental
sexual
illnesses. It's
anarchy?
shocking that that's happening with, if this is what people are resorting to. All right, I saw this piece, Raymond, in the Guardian that was titled "A Bot on the Side." Is it adultery if you cheat with an AI companion?
Not if everybody's in consent.
Well, look, if you're getting it on with a robot and being intimate with hardware, it's absolutely adultery. My advice, stop diddling R2-D2 and take your wife to dinner. That's what you should be doing. But Laura, these programs, they are...
Stop diddling R2-D2 and take your wife to dinner. If you're going to do that, I got some advice for you.
Life is too short to walk this earth for a crusty asshole. Wash your ass.
Your wife will appreciate if you wash your ass.
They are actually programmed to read what excites you, what you're interested in. So they're feeding you. It's like a cycle, a loop. It's feeding you what you want to hear rather than what you need to hear.
That's Fox News. That's Fox News. Feeding you what you want to hear, not what you need to hear. That's Fox News. That's the tagline for the network you're on, sir.
It's like a cycle, a loop. It's feeding you
like an echo chamber
to hear rather than what you need to hear. Go get a real partner. That's what I tell these guys. And finally, Laura, Adele just bought Sylvester Stallone's home in Beverly Hills for $58 million. But there's a pretty big condition there. Adele wanted the Rocky statue at the pool or the deal was off. Well, she got Rocky Balboa. We've secured these exclusive shots of the statue. Now, according to...
That's awesome!
Sly Stallone is thrilled that Adele is rocking in the deep with Rocky and that she is doing the house over and the things she's doing in the house.
The song is rolling in the deep. You fucked up your own joke, motherfucker.
Well, she got Rocky Balboa. We've secured these exclusive shots of the statue. Now, according to my source, Sly Stallone is thrilled that Adele is rocking in the deep with Rocky and that she is doing the house over and the things she's doing in the house he thinks are spectacular. That's an original statue, by the way.
He can fuck up a wet dream.
Philadelphia, where Rocky
That's
has
a cool
the two hands
statue.
up in the air.
I think it's interesting.
Well, we
It's the kind of story we cover at the end of the Troll Patrol.
he's a good guy.
Well,
so he's a really good guy.
with
Yo, Adrian!
the family Stallone, I could foresee a story arc, Laura, where Sly returns to the Beverly Hills home in a secret mission to recover the statue, maybe.
Did he say Sly and the Family Stone? Because that's a completely different thing.
He and Jennifer and the girls could hold the statue hostage for maybe backstage passes to Adele's Vegas residency. Who knows? But
No, Raymond,
it would be a great story arc.
It would be a super funny prank for the kids to like sneak in there and like, you know what you do with the John Harvard statue at Harvard Yard?
I mean, maybe he was trying to make a pun about it.
It's a prank, everyone does it. But they could dress it up and, you know, all sorts of things for all different sorts of holidays. And they would never know exactly how it would be done. I see that in the reality show of the Stallones. All right, Ray.
Well,
awesome.
alert Adele
Thank you.
security.
Yeah.
Well, ma'am, I've done almost 3 hours of hard news, so I get to do Laura Ingraham talking about fucking men fucking AI. That's what interests me. I put it with my pride section. We were celebrating all love, including if you love an AI. Also, check out this screenshot. You gets no stream delay on Kick. That's a YouTube thing. This is the most fantastic screenshot ever. Laura Ingraham just ripped one, and Arayo is smelling it. Yeah, clinically. Great minds. Great minds. Oh, he farted and she likes it. I'm keeping that one. I'm keeping that one. That's a hell of a screenshot. I got a new keyboard. I got a new mouse and keyboard because I kept spilling tea on my keyboard and shit, and my keys were sticking. Go ahead and make the jokes. I got a new keyboard and the lights turn off on it. So I have to like make the lights come back on so I can see what key I need to hit. It's slightly annoying. I gotta figure out how to make them stay on. All right. We've discussed Pride Month, the attacks on the LGBTQ community. Do you guys remember a couple months ago when the right got all pissed off about Bud Light sending a can of beer? Well, here's the thing clinically is like, yeah, like it's probably like a sleep mode thing, but like the keyboard doesn't have software. Like I have to like, it has like keys I have to like, button combinations I have to press to do different things with it. And I don't like that. I'd rather just have a software that like I pull up. You know, first world problems. Ah, there's Jesse. Man, I'm getting ready to wrap it up. I told him when I came on. I said I told you that I wasn't going to go long. But that probably wouldn't happen. But you came just in time for the end. So a couple weeks ago, I guess it's been a couple months ago now. It's been that long and they're still on it. Bud Light sent Dylan Mulvaney, the Instagram, TikTok influencer, like a custom can with her face on it. And it was just for her to show to like her Instagram followers for March Madness or some shit. That's how I know it was a couple of months ago. So they went nuts over this. It wasn't even a commercial. I don't even know how they found out about it. I don't even... If you're not watching Dylan Mulvaney, how did you even find out she had the can? It's just right-wingers cruising for shit to be outraged about. So they launched this huge boycott, and they really have taken a chunk out of Anheuser-Busch's sales. Because, you know, fucking gay people probably have taste and aren't drinking Bud Light to begin with, because Bud Light sucks. If you're going to have a beer, there are better beers than Bud Light, and I'd say most gay people don't. That's stereotyping. I would say most gay people have a more refined palate. They would like a mimosa or a mixed drink of some sort. libs of TikTok, probably, Richard. You're probably right. But Bud Light has went into overdrive trying to overcompensate. And apparently they have a new ad. So let's listen to Trish Regan talk about Bud Light's new ad.
Bud Light, which just no matter how much it tries, can't seem to get its act together. It has a new commercial. There we go, a brand new commercial. And this is after that song Good Times, but this is actually, I think, Bud Times that they're saying. And you see, oh, everybody's having a good time. They're picnicking. They're at the beach. They're having just a blast. I think at some point you see them at a hammock party. Somebody falls over in the hammock. Oh, look at that. He's going to fall over. Maybe, maybe not on his paddle board. So it's all about how fun life is. Summer's great.
This is the most mundane ad ever.
And we have a Bud Light. The only problem is, guys, it's a little bit too late. Just a little bit too late, because on April 1st, and I'm not going to play it for you again, but it's like you can't get the image out of your head, right? The Dylan Mulvaney clip. And so consequently,
it's like it's seared in her memory. Like she was shown, like it was a horrific image of Dylan Mulvaney, a lovely woman. Like she's cute and like that's all I can say. But like there's nothing offensive about Dylan Mulvaney in any way, but yet it's etched in her mind. It's a day that will live in infamy.
They have seen their sales plummet. Latest numbers showing us sales are down 27% again for Bud Light in the latest week. And you have Modelo, which is owned by the American company, Constellation Brands, at least the U.S. rights to that, Modelo. That's way up. So they've just traded their number one spot in America thanks to some very, pompous marketing executives that thought they knew better. I told you this week about how they just won an award in Cannes, France for the most creative marketing of the year. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Of course, in fairness, the award came out before the whole April 1st disaster. But many people were like, wait a second, shouldn't this Cannes festival, it's like the Oscars of...
Are they supposed to take the award back?
Shouldn't they take it away? Well, they probably should have. I mean, considering that this is now the worst marketing event in the history, I think, of any company in modern times. They've now lost nearly $30 billion in market cap as a result. But no, they didn't take it away. They got the big award, and the head of marketing went and gave a little speech. And
I do not give a shit about a corporation and their bottom line or anything, but I kind of feel sorry for the workers. Like the people in the actual marketing department. Like, they didn't do anything wrong. It was a perfectly sane idea to send Dylan Mulvaney a can of beer. That was a very good marketing strategy. There's literal fucking Nazi propaganda about the LGBTQ community that is being mainstreamed by Fox News, the Daily Wire, fucking all the other ancillary fucking right-wingers that go with it. And it's a coordinated effort to try to bully the LGBTQ community back into the closet. Bully us. I suck a little dick now and then. Bully us back into the fucking closet. And it ain't gonna happen. Sorry.
And said it was very humbling. I would just say it's like total irony. So the stock price, which has been down considerably, fell again today. It's like trading down around $57 a share. I mean, I don't see things changing for this company anytime soon. And I think Americans have just kind of had it. They just are finished with this. Finished. Hey, everyone. Trish Regan here. If you enjoyed that clip, please do me the favor.
There was zero substance to her critique. She provided no information to anyone watching that, and it wasn't even entertaining. This woman's probably making millions of dollars. I do this for tips. My God, the world we live in. After all the shit I've put you guys through tonight, I owe you a spectacular animal video. I owe you like the best animal video I can come up with. It's not Puppy Bus, but man, I think you're gonna dig it. Here's a chameleon washing its hands. This is Zeke, a pet chameleon in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. I've been in the Hopkinsville jail as a what would you, not a prisoner, an inmate. I've been an inmate in the Hopkinsville jail. Yeah, just the tip. Just the tips. Just the tips. They took my Twitch away. I was actually making decent money on Twitch. I was getting a couple $100 a month at that point in time when they took my Twitch away. They won't let me back. And you guys should all be very pissed because I got canned halfway through the month. So I technically made, I don't know how much I made, but I made enough to be paid out for that half a month that I was on, and they have not given me that money. That is wrong of them. Now, I don't care, $20 or whatever it end up being. It's the principle of the matter. Look at him wash his little hands. And I wanted to hit you with the rainbow chameleon because, it's Pride Month. And he's decked out in his pride colors. This is Maynard in there in the bathtub, I assure you. Have I ever told you guys that Maynard goes nuts over the water in the bathtub, wants me to turn the faucet on for him all the goddamn time? Probably in the bathtub right now. Yeah, Curiouser says she can still use my emotes. Other people have told me my emotes aren't available. Technically, I'm permanently suspended, but my appeal is still pending. My appeal has been on pending since it started. I have a friend of a friend who does she's into esports, and she does she reps actual because my friend was like, you should contact my girlfriend. She does blah 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 for streamers. And I'm like, yeah, but she does esports, right? Esports. But she knows people at Twitch, and I had her contact somebody, and they've followed up and have asked me questions a couple of different times. But I still haven't heard anything back. And one of the do I still have the fucking, I saved the comment because I thought it was hilarious. Like, how many times have you been banned by Twitch? And I was like, not really. Not really. I haven't really been banned by Twitch. I got that one copyright. We got hate rated a couple times. Other than that, I mean, I've been a good boy. I've been a really good boy. Give me my Twitch back. All right. Go ahead, light one up. Tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol. Live.